Hi there, friends. Thanks for tuning in to another Harry. Get ready for an incredible journey as we present what if Blitzo's assassination contract led him to the Dursleys and he kidnapped Harry to raise in hell at age 5. If you find our stories entertaining, a simple like and subscribe would mean everything to us. Your support motivates us to create more. Here we go. Chapter 1. The privet drive job. The grimoire slammed onto Blitzo's desk with a thud that sent coffee splashing across his "World's Okayest Boss" mug. He barely noticed, too busy staring at the pulsing red contract page that had materialized in the ancient book. "Holy shit, guys. Get in here." Blitzo shouted, his clawed fingers hovering over the glowing text. "We've got one." Moxie poked his head through the doorway, clipboard in hand. "Another contract? Please tell me it's not another cheating spouse. The last one tried to exorcise me with a garden hose." "Nope. This is big. Like, really fucking big." Blitzo's tail swished excitedly as he scanned the details. "Some high roller wants us to take out someone in the living world. Address is Privet Drive? What kind of pretentious bullshit name is that?" Millie bounced in behind her husband, twirling a knife between her fingers. "Ooh. Is it someone famous? I love killing celebrities, they always have the fanciest blood. Details are weirdly vague." Blitzo scratched his horn. "Just says, eliminate the threat at number 4, Privet Drive, and lists the place as Little Whinging, Surrey, which sounds made up, but whatever. Payment's fucking massive though." Luna slouched against the doorframe, scrolling through her hellphone. "So who's the client?" Blitzo squinted at the signature line. "That's the weird part. It just says, VM, probably some cryptic asshole trying to be mysterious." "I don't like it," Moxie said, straightening his bow tie. "Anonymous clients spell trouble. Remember the Thanksgiving massacre? We're still banned from Nebraska. First, that wasn't our fault. Second, Nebraska had it coming." Blitzo snatched the grimoire and held it above his head. "This is exactly what IMP needs. One big score and we can finally get that coffee machine that doesn't scream obscenities when you press brew. Luna rolled her eyes. "Great. Another human world shitshow. Don't be such a downer, loony." Blitzo ruffled her fur, dodging the snap of her jaws. "This is gonna be fun. Moxie, prep the gear. Millie, sharpen everything. Luna. I dunno, do whatever teenage hellhounds do. We leave in an hour." The portal spat them out behind a row of identical houses with depressingly manicured lawns. Rain drizzled from a gray sky, and Blitzo immediately stepped into a puddle. "Fuck me, it's always wet here," he grumbled, shaking water from his boot. "I swear Earth has more varieties of miserable weather than we have torture methods." Moxie unfolded a map, struggling to keep it dry. "According to this, number 4 should be just ahead. We should establish surveillance first." Boring. Blitzo snatched the map and crumpled it into his pocket. "Let's just peek in the windows. Way more fun than your surveillance bullshit." They crept along the row of cookie-cutter houses until they reached number 4. Nothing distinguished it from its neighbors except for the gleaming car in the driveway and the excessive number of garden gnomes. "This place gives me the creeps," Millie whispered, peering through a hedge. "It's too clean. Humans are weird about their lawns," Blitzo said with authority. "I read about it in Human Habitats for Dummies." Moxie adjusted his binoculars. "I see movement inside. Large male human, possibly our target. Female too, neck like a giraffe. And, a small round child demolishing what appears to be a cake. Perfect. We'll wait till dark, sneak in, and..." Blitzo stopped as he noticed movement at the side of the house. A tiny figure carried a garbage bag almost as big as himself toward a bin. Despite the rain, the child wore only an oversized t-shirt and pants held up with rope. "Who's that kid?" Moxie shifted his binoculars. There seems to be another child. Much smaller. Not included in my initial assessment. The small boy struggled with the heavy bag, his glasses slipping down his nose. As he lifted the garbage bin lid, it clattered loudly to the ground. Inside the house, a booming voice shouted, "Boy! What are you doing out there?" The child visibly flinched. "Sorry, Uncle Vernon." The lid slipped. A large purple-faced man yanked open the back door. "What did I tell you about making noise? The neighbors will hear." "I'm sorry, get inside and go to your cupboard. No dinner tonight." Blitzo's eyes narrowed as the man grabbed the boy's arm roughly, dragging him inside. "Well, that's just shitty parenting. Perhaps he's being disciplined for something," Moxie suggested. "Nah, I know asshole adults when I see them. That guy's got I kick puppies energy." Blitzo drummed his fingers against the hedge. "Change of plans. We're doing closer surveillance. I want to know what's going on in that house." Hours passed as they watched the house from various angles. They witnessed the family eat dinner while the small boy remained absent. The larger child received presents and attention while the smaller one cleaned dishes. When evening came, they saw the adults lock the small boy in a cupboard under the stairs. "They're keeping him in a fucking closet," Blitzo growled, claws digging into the windowsill. "Who keeps a kid in a closet?" Millie's usual cheerful demeanor had faded. "Maybe that's what we're supposed to eliminate. The bad parents?" "Contract just said, the threat," Blitzo mused. "Could be anyone in there." Moxie consulted his notes. "The large male is Vernon Dursley, works selling drills. The woman is Petunia Dursley, homemaker. Large child is Dudley Dursley, age 5. The small boy is apparently Harry Potter, also 5, orphan nephew. No criminal records, though the father has numerous parking violations." "How do you know all that?" Blitzo asked. Moxie held up his hellphone. "I checked their mail and Googled them while you were making faces at their cat." "The cat started it," Blitzo muttered. He watched as the house went dark, lights clicking off room by room. "Okay, here's the plan. We go in, figure out who the threat is supposed to be, and take M out clean and quick." They slipped into the house through the back door, which Millie unlocked in seconds. The home was silent except for heavy snoring from upstairs. "Spread out," Blitzo whispered. "Check everywhere." As Moxie and Millie crept upstairs, Blitzo noticed the cupboard under the stairs. Small whimpers came from inside. He knelt down and carefully opened the door. The tiny boy, Harry, sat huddled on a thin mattress, knees pulled to his chest. His eyes widened in terror behind broken glasses held together with tape. "Holy shit," Blitzo whispered. "You okay, kid?" Harry pressed himself against the wall, shaking. "Please don't hurt me." "I'm not," Blitzo paused, realizing how he must look to a human child. "I'm not here to hurt you. Why are you in a closet?" "It's my room," Harry whispered. "I was bad." Blitzo's eyes adjusted to the darkness, taking in the cramped space barely bigger than a coffin. Spider webs hung from the ceiling. The only belongings were a few broken toys and a threadbare blanket. "This is your room?" "Like, all the time." Harry nodded. "And what exactly did you do that was so bad?" "I dropped the garbage lid. And yesterday I burned the bacon." Harry's voice was so small Blitzo had to lean in to hear it. "And sometimes things happen around me that Uncle Vernon says are freakish." Blitzo felt something unfamiliar twist in his chest. Rage, sure, he knew rage. But this was different. "Listen, kid. You're not bad. Your family's just a bunch of assholes." Harry's eyes grew even wider at the language. Footsteps on the stairs made Blitzo quickly shut the cupboard door. Moxie and Millie appeared, speaking in hushed tones. "Nothing suspicious upstairs," Moxie reported. Just the parents and the child sleeping. They've got pictures everywhere of the fat kid, Millie added. But none of the little one we saw. Blitzo's tail lashed behind him. Yeah, about that. The skinny kid's locked in this fucking cupboard. What? Millie peeked through the slats. Oh, the poor little thing. I don't understand, Moxie frowned. Why would someone pay to have us eliminate a threat in this household? There's nothing unusual here except deplorable parenting. Blitzo's mind raced. The contract had said, eliminate the threat. He looked back at the cupboard, then up the stairs toward the bedrooms. Something wasn't adding up. What if? He started slowly, what if the kid in the closet is the threat someone wants eliminated? Moxie scoffed. That's absurd. He's a human child, 5 years old at most. Yeah, but the uncle mentioned freakish things happening around him. Maybe the kid's got powers or something. As if on cue, a light flickered above them. Then another. The house's electricity surged, coinciding with a soft sob from the cupboard. Okay, that was weird, Millie whispered. Blitzo made a decision. He opened the cupboard door again. Hey, kid. Harry, right? The boy nodded, tears streaming down his face. Wanna get out of here? Harry hesitated. And go where? Somewhere better than a fucking cupboard, Blitzo replied. With people who won't lock you up for dropping garbage lids. Sir, Moxie hissed, we can't kidnap a human child. Why not? We kill humans all the time. This is technically less bad. That's not how morality works. Since when do we care about morality? We're literally demons. Blitzo turned back to Harry. Look, kid, I'm giving you a choice. Stay here with these assholes, or come with us. Are you, angels? Harry asked softly. Millie stifled a laugh. Blitzo grinned, showing his sharp teeth. Fuck no. We're way cooler than angels. We're demons. From hell. The one and only. Harry seemed to consider this. Uncle Vernon says I'm going to hell anyway for being a freak. Something in Blitzo's chest tightened again. Your uncle's a dick. But hell's not so bad. I've got a daughter about your age. Well, not your age, she's a teen, but, you know what, doesn't matter. Point is, we don't lock kids in cupboards. A door creaked open upstairs. Heavy footsteps approached the bathroom. Decision time, kid, Blitzo whispered urgently. Harry looked around his tiny cupboard, then at the demons. Will it hurt? Nah. Portal travel's just kinda tingly. Like when your foot falls asleep, but your whole body. After another moment's hesitation, Harry reached out his small hand. Okay. Fuck yeah. Blitzo grabbed Harry and stood up. Mox, open the grimoire. Let's blow this popsicle stand. Sir, this is absolutely against company policy, Moxie protested, even as he flipped pages in the book. I'll add a kidnapping clause tomorrow. Fire up the portal. Moxie sighed but complied, drawing the necessary symbols. A swirling red portal opened in the middle of the Dursleys' living room. The toilet flushed upstairs. Vernon's heavy footsteps started back toward the bedroom. Move it. Blitzo shoved Moxie and Millie through the portal, Harry clutched against his chest. Just as Vernon Dursley reached the top of the stairs, he caught a glimpse of red light and a horned figure holding something small. By the time he fumbled for the light switch, the living room was empty, with only a lingering smell of sulfur to suggest anything had been there at all. The portal spat them out in the middle of P.S. office, scattering papers and knocking over Blitzo's "Bosses do it better" mug. Home sweet home. Blitzo announced, setting Harry down on the floor. What do you think, kid? Harry stood frozen, taking in the pentagram-covered walls, the weapons cache, and the giant window overlooking a burning cityscape. His small face had gone paper white. "I think he's in shock," Millie whispered. Luna chose that moment to walk in, headphones blaring. She stopped mid-step, staring at the human child. "What the fuck? Language, Luna. There's a kid present." Blitzo gestured proudly at Harry. "Meet our new, project roommate? Whatever, this is Harry. You brought a human child to hell." Luna's deadpan voice couldn't quite hide her disbelief. An actual living human child. He was locked in a cupboard. What was I supposed to do? Not kidnap him? Luna suggested. Moxie paced frantically. "This is bad. This is very, very bad. We've violated at least 17 infernal regulations, not to mention human laws about child abduction." Harry's voice was barely audible. "Is this really hell?" "Sure is," Blitzo said cheerfully. "Best place in the afterlife, despite what the marketing says. Heaven's full of stuck-up assholes anyway." Harry stared out the window at the crimson sky and distant screams. A flying creature soared past, belching flame. "Are you going to eat me?" "What? No." Blitzo looked offended. "We don't eat kids. Too chewy." Millie smacked his arm. "He's joking, sweetie. Nobody's going to eat you." "Speak for yourself," Luna muttered, earning glares from everyone. "Fine. I don't eat humans anyway. Too much hair." Harry seemed unconvinced, his small body trembling. "Look, kid," Blitzo knelt down to Harry's level. "I know this is weird. But those people were treating you like garbage, and that's not okay. Here, you'll have a real bed, actual food, and nobody's gonna lock you up for stupid shit. Unless you really deserve it," Luna added. "Not helping, loony." Blitzo turned back to Harry. "The point is, you'll be safer here than with those assholes. Promise." Harry's gaze moved from Blitzo to Moxie to Millie, then settled on Luna, who bared her teeth in what might have been an attempt at a smile. "Safer with demons than with my family?" Harry asked quietly. "Says a lot about your family, doesn't it?" Blitzo replied. For the first time, Harry's lips quirked in a tiny smile. "Aunt Petunia says I'm a demon child anyway." Blitzo let out a surprised laugh. "I like your style, kid. See, you're fitting in already." Moxie cleared his throat. "Sir, practical concerns. Where will he sleep? What will he eat? Humans have specific needs that hell isn't equipped for." Details. Blitzo waved dismissively. "We'll figure it out. Kids are adaptable, right?" He turned to Harry. "You adaptable, kid?" Harry nodded cautiously. "See? He's adaptable." A phone rang, cutting through the chaos. The glowing red contract phone, used exclusively for client communications. Everyone froze. "That's probably about the job we were supposed to do," Moxie said nervously. "The job we just completely fucked up," Luna added helpfully. Blitzo approached the phone like it might bite him. "Maybe they just want a progress report. Or maybe they know we kidnapped a human child instead of killing whoever we were supposed to," Moxie suggested. Blitzo took a deep breath and answered with forced cheerfulness. "IMP, we put the fun in funeral." "How can I?" A voice like ice cut him off. "You have failed." "Failed? That's a strong word. I prefer strategically redirected the assignment parameters. You were to eliminate the threat at Privet Drive. The boy remains alive." Blitzo's blood ran cold. He glanced at Harry, who had moved closer to Millie, clutching her skirt. "Look, buddy, there must be some misunderstanding. That's just a kid. A dangerous child with abilities beyond your comprehension. Return him immediately and complete your assignment, or face the consequences." Yeah, about that. No. Blitzo's voice hardened. Find someone else to do your dirty work. IMP doesn't kill kids. You will regret this decision. The line went dead. Silence fell over the office. Moxie looked like he might faint. Millie's hand rested protectively on Harry's shoulder. Even Luna seemed unsettled. Fuck, Blitzo finally said. What did they say? Moxie asked, though his expression suggested he already knew. The contract was to kill the kid. Blitzo ran a hand over his face. What kind of sick fuck puts a hit on a 5-year-old? Harry's small voice broke the tension. Someone wants me dead. Blitzo cursed himself for speaking so bluntly. Don't worry about it, kid. Nobody's gonna hurt you now. But, no buts. You're under IMP protection now. He puffed out his chest. And we're the best damn assassins in hell. Anyone wants to get to you, they gotta go through us. Moxie cleared his throat. Sir, perhaps we should contact. A crash from outside interrupted him. The building shook. Smoke rose from the street below. Blitzo rushed to the window. Fuck me sideways. Below, a group of figures in dark robes marched toward their building. At their head, a tall, pale demon in aristocratic clothing pointed a wand-like object at their office. Who's that? Harry asked, peering around Blitzo's legs. No idea, but they look pissed. Blitzo turned to his team. Battle stations, people. Luna, get the kid somewhere safe. Moxie, Millie, grab everything that goes boom. I'll stall them. As everyone scattered, Blitzo caught Harry's terrified face. He knelt down quickly. Hey, it's gonna be okay. This shit happens all the time in hell. Just a regular Tuesday for us. It's Friday, Harry whispered. Even better. Friday fights are way more fun. Blitzo ruffled Harry's unruly hair. Stick with Luna. She looks mean, but she'll keep you safe. Luna rolled her eyes but didn't contradict him as she took Harry's hand. Come on, kid. Let's find you a hiding spot. As they disappeared into the back office, Blitzo loaded his pistol, a manic grin spreading across his face. Well, this day just got interesting. The next few hours were chaos. The mysterious attackers, apparently followers of someone called VM, breached the building but met fierce resistance from IMP. Blitzo fought like a demon possessed, his usual chaotic style refined to deadly precision when he knew Harry was in danger. Moxie revealed hidden weapons caches throughout the office. Millie sliced through enemies with terrifying efficiency. Even Luna joined the fight after securing Harry in a panic room, her claws and teeth proving more effective than many of the attackers' magic. When the dust settled, the attackers had been driven back, but not before making clear their intention: they would return for the boy. Harry emerged from hiding wide-eyed but calmer than expected. He'd spent the time talking with Luna, who, despite her initial reluctance, had explained hell to him in her straightforward way. Something about her blunt honesty had reassured him more than Blitzo's chaotic optimism. Night fell over hell, or what passed for night in a realm of eternal fire. The IMP office had been hastily repaired and fortified. Moxie insisted on setting up security systems, while Millie made Harry a bedroom out of a storage closet, vastly larger than his cupboard and furnished with cushions and blankets. Blitzo found Harry sitting on his new makeshift bed, staring at a picture Millie had drawn for him of a smiling stick figure family with horns. You doing okay, kid? Blitzo asked, leaning against the doorframe. Harry looked up, his green eyes thoughtful. Why did you take me? The direct question caught Blitzo off guard. I told you. Those people were treating you like shit. But you were supposed to kill me. Harry's voice held no fear, just curiosity. That was your job. Kid, even demons have standards. Blitzo sat on the edge of the bed. Look, I've done a lot of bad shit. I kill people for money. But they're usually assholes who deserve it. You're just a kid. Uncle Vernon says I'm a burden. A freak. Your uncle's an idiot. And trust me, I know freaks. Hell's full of M. You're just a normal kid. Harry shook his head. I'm not. Weird things happen around me. Sometimes when I'm scared or angry, things move by themselves. Once, Aunt Petunia cut all my hair off, and it grew back overnight. Blitzo's eyes widened. No shit? That's actually pretty cool. You're not scared. Kid, I live in literal hell. Some magical hair growth doesn't exactly make my top 10 terrifying things. Blitzo hesitated, then added awkwardly, besides, everyone's weird somehow. That's what makes life interesting. Harry seemed to consider this. So I can stay here. Even though I'm weird? Hell yeah. Weird is our specialty. Blitzo stood up, suddenly uncomfortable with the emotional direction of the conversation. Get some sleep, kid. Tomorrow we'll figure out, well, everything. As he turned to leave, Harry's voice stopped him. Mr. Blitzo. Just Blitzo. Mr. makes me sound old. Blitzo, thank you for taking me. Something warm and unfamiliar bloomed in Blitzo's chest. He covered it quickly with a dismissive gesture. Don't mention it, kid. Seriously, don't. Bad for my reputation. Harry smiled, a real smile this time, and Blitzo felt that strange warmth again. He shut the door quickly before he could say something embarrassing. In the main office, Moxie, Millie, and Luna waited with varying expressions of concern. The kid's fine, Blitzo announced. Surprisingly chill for someone who got kidnapped by demons and almost killed by magic weirdos. I've been researching, Moxie said, spreading papers across the desk. There are rumors about a human child who survived a killing curse from a dark wizard. They call him, the boy who lived. I think that might be Harry. So that's why someone wants him dead, Millie mused. He's some kind of magical celebrity. Great, Luna muttered. We kidnapped wizard Harry Potter. That won't cause any problems at all. How do you know about wizard Harry Potter? Blitzo asked. Luna shrugged. There's a whole series of books about him in the human world. They're pretty big. Even hellhounds hear things. Well, fuck. Blitzo collapsed into his chair. So we've got wizards getting for us now. Anything else I should know? Just that we're harboring possibly the most famous magical child in the human world, Moxie said dryly. And we've made enemies of whoever put out the hit, presumably this VM character. And we have no idea how to raise a human child, Millie added. Particularly one with magical powers. Blitzo spun in his chair, staring at the ceiling. So we're totally fucked, is what you're saying. Pretty much, Luna agreed. A strange giggle escaped Blitzo. Then another. Soon he was laughing uncontrollably, clutching his sides. Sir, are you having a breakdown? Moxie asked cautiously. Probably. Blitzo wiped tears from his eyes. But fuck it. We're already in this deep. Might as well go all the way. What do you mean? Millie asked. Blitzo stood up, slamming his hands on the desk. I mean we're keeping him. Raising him. Doing the whole family thing. Moxie's jaw dropped. You can't be serious. Dead serious. Kid needs a family. We need, well, I don't know what we need, but having a magical human kid can't hurt business, right? It could absolutely hurt business, Moxie argued. We're assassins, not babysitters. We can be both. Blitzo insisted. Look, that kid in there has never had anyone give a shit about him. His family locked him in a fucking cupboard. And now someone powerful enough to send goons to hell wants him dead. What kind of assholes would we be to send him back? Silence fell as everyone considered this. Finally, Millie spoke. I've always wanted to be a mama. Moxie sighed, taking her hand. This is insane, but when has that ever stopped us? All eyes turned to Luna. She growled. Whatever. He's less annoying than most kids. Just keep him out of my room. Blitzo's face split into a wide grin. That's the spirit. Operation Raise Hell starts now. Outside, the fiery skies of hell rumbled with distant thunder. In a small makeshift bedroom, Harry Potter slept peacefully for the first time in years, unaware that the strangest chapter of his already unusual life was just beginning. Meanwhile, in a castle far away in Scotland, magical instruments began to wail as ancient protective spells collapsed. Albus Dumbledore stared in horror at a silver device that had suddenly stopped spinning. The blood wards have fallen, he whispered. Harry is gone. The search for the boy who lived was about to begin. Chapter 2, Hell of a Childhood. Blitzo crashed through the office door, blood splattered across his face and a shopping bag dangling from his horn. Honey, I'm home. And I got juice boxes. Harry looked up from where he sat cross-legged on the floor, carefully assembling a Lego set that consisted entirely of skulls and tiny weapons. 6 months in hell had done wonders for the kid, his once gaunt face had filled out, his green eyes sparkled with mischief, and he no longer flinched when someone moved too quickly. Did you get the kind with the bendy straws? Harry asked, abandoning his Legos to rush over. Hell yeah, I did. Only the best for my favorite human. Blitzo ruffled Harry's perpetually messy hair, which had grown even more unruly since his arrival in hell. Also picked up some of those cookies you like. The ones that scream when you bite them. Thanks. Harry dug through the bag, then wrinkled his nose. Why are you all bloody? Oh, this? Blitzo glanced down at the gore splattered across his chest. Just wrapped up a job. Rich asshole wanted his business partner taken out. Guy didn't even see us coming. Well, until Moxie sneezed and blew our cover, but by then it was too late. Harry nodded like this was the most normal conversation in the world. For him, it now was. Moxie trudged in behind Blitzo, meticulously wiping blood from his hands with sanitizing wipes. For the record, I maintain that using pepper as a distraction was unnecessary when we already had smoke grenades. But it worked, didn't it? Blitzo dropped onto the couch, propping his feet on the coffee table. Target's dead, clients happy, and we got paid. I call that a win. Where's Millie? Harry asked, struggling to puncture his juice box with the straw. Getting the car detailed. Turns out human intestines really gunk up an engine. Moxie took the juice from Harry and expertly stabbed the straw through for him. There you go. Thanks. Harry slurped happily, completely unfazed by the talk of intestines. Can I watch cartoons? Only the violent ones, Blitzo called as Harry scampered toward the TV. Educational violence only. Moxie collapsed into a chair, massaging his temples. Sir, I've been meaning to talk to you about Harry's education. He's been here 6 months now, and while your unorthodox parenting has kept him alive, perhaps we should consider a more structured approach. What's wrong with how I'm raising him? Blitzo looked genuinely offended. Kid's happy, isn't he? Yes, but he's got food, toys, nobody locks him in cupboards, that's a very low bar, and he's learning valuable life skills. Teaching a 5-year-old to pick locks is not a life skill. It absolutely is. Saved my ass dozens of times. Blitzo lowered his voice, glancing at Harry who was now engrossed in a cartoon involving anthropomorphic animals committing increasingly creative acts of violence. Besides, he's special, Mox. Kid's got magic. Regular human school wouldn't work even if we could send him. Moxie sighed. That's actually my point. His abilities need proper guidance. They've been escalating. As if on cue, the lights in the office flickered. Harry's juice box, which he'd set down beside him, slowly rose into the air, hovering at perfect drinking height without him touching it. The boy didn't even seem to notice. See what I mean? Moxie whispered. Last week he turned all the water in the toilet to jello. The week before that, he made every gun in the weapons locker fire simultaneously when he had a nightmare. That was fucking hilarious, Blitzo snickered. The look on your face when your favorite pistol started shooting by itself. We need help, Moxie insisted. Professional magical help. The office door banged open again as Luna stalked in, her fur bristling. Guess who just got cornered by 3 of Mammon's goons asking about the human kid? Harry glanced over. Hi, Luna. The hellhound's demeanor instantly softened. Hey, squirt. Then she turned back to Blitzo, voice hardening again. This is the 3rd time this week. Word's getting around that we've got a living human child. The higher-ups are taking notice. Blitzo's expression darkened. What did you tell them? I told them to fuck off before I ripped their throats out. Luna examined her claws. But they'll be back. Probably with more guys. Moxie threw his hands up. Fantastic. Now we have Hell's hierarchy interested in Harry too. As if wizard assassins weren't enough. Actually, we haven't seen any wizards since that first night, Blitzo pointed out. Maybe they gave up. Or maybe they're planning something bigger, Moxie countered. Regardless, we need allies. Powerful ones. Blitzo groaned. Please don't say what I think you're going to say. We need to call Prince Stolas. Fuck. You said it. Luna raised an eyebrow. Bird Daddy to the rescue. Don't call him that, Blitzo muttered, cheeks flushing. Harry perked up. Who's Prince Stolas? Nobody. Blitzo said quickly. He's a Goetic prince, Moxie explained, ignoring Blitzo's glare. One of Hell's nobility. And he has extensive magical knowledge that might help us understand your abilities. Is he nice? Harry asked. Luna snorted. He's fucking thirsty for Blitzo. He's what? Harry tilted his head in confusion. Nothing. Blitzo shouted, frantically waving his arms. He's nothing. Just a weird bird demon who desperately wants to, Luna. Blitzo clapped his hands over Harry's ears. Little pitchers, big ears. Harry giggled, wiggling away. I've heard worse. Last week you said foo, anyway. Blitzo interrupted loudly. Fine. I'll call Stolas. But only because we need magical help. No other reason. Sure, Dad, Luna rolled her eyes, heading for the kitchen. Blitzo froze. What did you call me? I said, sad. As in, it's sad how obvious you are. Luna disappeared around the corner, but not before everyone caught her flustered expression. An awkward silence fell. Harry's floating juice box suddenly dropped, splashing across the floor. Sorry. Don't worry about it, kid. Blitzo shook himself. Just, try to keep the magic on the down low, okay? We've got enough attention as it is. Harry nodded solemnly. I'll try. Sometimes it just happens, though. I know, buddy. That's why we're gonna get help. Blitzo took out his phone with a dramatic sigh. I just hope I don't regret this. Prince Stolas arrived the next day in a carriage pulled by nightmare creatures that made even Blitzo uncomfortable. The tall, owl-headed demon ducked through the IMP office door with elegant grace, his 4 glowing eyes immediately scanning the room. Blitzy. His voice practically sang the name. I was so delighted to receive your call. It's been ages since our last encounter. Yeah, keep it in your feathers, bird boy. Blitzo shifted awkwardly. We need your help with something. Professional help, he emphasized. Of course. Stolas's eyes glittered with amusement. And where is this mysterious human child I've heard rumors about? Harry stepped forward from behind Moxie, where he'd been hiding. I'm Harry. All four of Stolas's eyes widened. The prince knelt down, bringing himself closer to Harry's level, though he still towered over the boy. Fascinating. A living human child in hell, and not just any child. He reached out one clawed hand, stopping just short of touching Harry's forehead. May I? Harry looked to Blitzo, who nodded reluctantly. Stolas gently brushed aside Harry's hair, revealing the lightning-shaped scar. Extraordinary. I haven't seen curse damage like this in millennia. Curse damage? Harry touched his scar. Uncle Vernon said I got it in the car crash that killed my parents. Car crash. Stolas laughed, the sound like crystal bells. Oh, my dear boy, no automobile could leave a magical signature like this. You've been touched by incredibly powerful dark magic. So Harry's parents didn't die in a crash? Blitzo asked, suddenly serious. I very much doubt it. Stolas stood to his full height. This child is famous in the magical world. Harry Potter, the boy who lived. That's what Luna said too, Harry piped up. But I don't feel famous. Fame is rather overrated, dear child. Stolas waved his hand, conjuring a comfortable chair from nowhere and settling into it. Now, Blitzy tells me you've been experiencing magical outbursts. Harry nodded. Things happen when I get scared or angry. And sometimes when I'm not. Show me. Harry glanced around, then focused on a pen on Moxie's desk. His face scrunched in concentration, and after a moment, the pen wobbled and rose a few inches. Very good. Stolas clapped his hands. Now, try something more challenging. Can you change its color? Harry frowned, focusing harder. The pen trembled, then suddenly burst into flames. Shit. Blitzo grabbed a mug of coffee and doused the fire, ruining several important-looking documents in the process. Fascinating, Stolas murmured. Your magic is responding to intent but without proper channeling. In the human world, wizards typically use wands to focus their abilities. Like the bad guys who attacked us? Harry asked. Precisely. Stolas extended his hand, and a book materialized in it. The magical energy in hell is very different from Earth. It's enhancing your natural abilities but making them unstable. Without training, you could become quite dangerous. To himself or to others? Moxie asked worriedly. Both. Stolas flipped through the book. I believe I could help teach the boy to control his magic. With the right guidance, he could become extraordinarily powerful. Blitzo narrowed his eyes. And what's in it for you? Stolas smiled, his beak somehow forming a coy expression. Why, the pleasure of your company, Blitzy. Gross, Luna muttered from across the room. And, Stolas continued, the opportunity to study such a unique magical signature. Human wizard children in hell are exceedingly rare. The research potential alone is worth my time. I don't want to be an experiment, Harry said quietly. Stolas's expression softened. Not an experiment, my dear boy. A student. I have a daughter myself, you know. Octavia. Perhaps you could meet her someday. Harry brightened at this. She's a demon too. A hellborn noble, yes. Stolas closed his book. So, do we have an arrangement? I shall provide magical training, and in exchange. His gaze slid to Blitzo, who immediately flushed. We'll discuss payment later, Blitzo muttered. Just help the kid. Splendid. Stolas clapped his hands again. We shall begin tomorrow. I'll send a carriage. No way, Blitzo interrupted. Lessons happen here where we can keep an eye on things. Stolas looked around the shabby office with barely concealed disdain. This environment is hardly conducive to magical education. Take it or leave it, feathers. Very well, Stola sighed dramatically. I suppose I can slum it if I must. Before anyone could respond, a massive explosion rocked the building. The windows shattered, raining glass across the office. Get down. Blitzo tackled Harry to the floor as a second blast hit. Moxie scrambled for the weapons cabinet. We're under attack. Luna rushed to the shattered window, growling. It's Mammon's crew again, but there's way more of them. Like, a fucking army more. Who's Mammon? Harry asked, his voice shaking. Demon of Greed, Stolas explained calmly, brushing glass from his feathers. One of the 7 princes. If he's taking an interest in you, that's concerning. Concerning? Blitzo pulled his gun. Try fucking terrifying. Why would a prince of hell want Harry? Human souls are valuable, Stolas said. Living human children with magical potential. Priceless. Another explosion hit, closer this time. The ceiling cracked. We need to move. Moxie shouted, tossing weapons to Millie who had appeared from the back room, already armed to the teeth. Take the tunnel, Blitzo ordered, pushing Harry toward a hidden door behind his desk. Luna, go with him. What about you guys? Harry cried, clutching Blitzo's arm. We'll hold them off, then follow. Blitzo knelt down, meeting Harry's eyes. Listen to Luna, okay? She'll keep you safe. I want to stay with you. Not an option, kid. Blitzo pried Harry's fingers loose. Looney, get him out of here. Luna nodded grimly, grabbing Harry's hand. Come on, Squirt. Time to go. Wait. Harry pulled back, his eyes wide with fear. You'll come find me, right? Something in Blitzo's chest twisted. Wild hellhounds couldn't keep me away. Harry nodded, then let Luna pull him through the hidden door. As soon as they disappeared, Blitzo turned to Moxie and Millie, his expression hardening. Nobody touches my kid. Let's show these fuckers what happens when you mess with IMP. Stolas watched with newfound interest. Your kid, Blitzy. Figure of speech, Blitzo muttered, checking his gun. Of course. Stolas's eyes glittered knowingly. Then he stretched to his full height, darkness gathering around him. Shall we give them a proper welcome? Harry and Luna raced through the narrow tunnel, the sounds of battle growing fainter behind them. Where does this go? Harry panted, struggling to keep up with the hellhound's longer strides. Emergency exit. Blitzo had it built after the first attack. Luna slowed slightly, glancing back at him. You okay, Squirt? I'm scared, Harry admitted. What if they don't make it? They will. Luna's voice left no room for doubt. Blitzo's harder to kill than a cockroach, Millie's basically a murder machine, and even Moxie has his moments. Plus they've got Bird Daddy with them now. Prince Stolas. Yeah. He's actually super powerful when he's not being a horny disaster. Luna paused at a junction. This way. They turned down another tunnel, this one sloping upward. Harry's legs burned with the effort of keeping up. Behind them, a distant roar shook dust from the ceiling. What was that? Harry whispered. Luna's ears flattened. Nothing good. Move faster. They hurried on until they reached a metal ladder. Luna climbed up first, pushing open a hatch and peering out cautiously. Clear. Come on. Harry scrambled up the ladder, emerging into an alley behind a building he didn't recognize. The crimson sky of hell stretched overhead, interrupted by towering skyscrapers and floating islands. Where are we? Harry asked. Few blocks from the office. Far enough to be safe for now. Luna sniffed the air. We should keep moving though. They slipped through back alleys, avoiding the main streets where demons of all shapes and sizes went about their business. After months in hell, Harry no longer stared at the bizarre creatures, though occasionally a particularly strange one would catch his attention. "Luna?" Harry asked as they ducked behind a dumpster to avoid a patrol of uniformed demons. "Why does everyone want me?" The hellhound sighed. "Because you're special, Squirt. Living humans aren't supposed to be in hell, for starters. Add in your magic stuff, and you're basically a walking collection of rare Pokémon cards." "Is that why Blitzo took me? Because I'm special?" Luna gave him a strange look. "Blitzo took you because those assholes were keeping you in a fucking closet." "Cupboard," Harry corrected automatically. "Whatever. Point is, he didn't know you were magic special when he grabbed you. He just..." Luna seemed to struggle with the words. "He saw a kid getting treated like shit, and he couldn't leave you there. That's it." Harry considered this. "So he really does care about me? Not just because I'm the boy who lived or whatever." "Kid, Blitzo has no idea what the boy who lived even means. He just knows you're Harry, the human kid who builds Legos and likes screaming cookies and can't keep his magic from setting shit on fire." Luna's expression softened slightly. "Trust me, he'd be just as stupidly protective if you were totally normal." A warm feeling spread through Harry's chest. Then something occurred to him. "What about you? Do you care about me too?" Luna rolled her eyes. "Don't push it, Squirt." But she ruffled his hair as she said it, which Harry had come to recognize as Hellhound 4, "Yes, but I won't admit it." They continued through the maze of alleys until they reached a small door marked with a faded pentagram. "Safe house," Luna explained, producing a key. "We'll wait here for the others." The interior was sparse but clean, a single room with a couch, mini fridge, and a collection of weapons mounted on the wall. "Make yourself comfortable," Luna said, immediately checking the perimeter and windows. "Might be a while." Harry sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. The events of the day caught up with him, and his eyelids grew heavy. He didn't mean to fall asleep, but the next thing he knew, he was jerking awake to the sound of shouting outside. Luna stood by the window, her fur bristling, eyes fixed on the street. "Shit," she muttered. "They found us." Harry scrambled to join her. Outside, a group of demons in expensive suits approached the building, led by a corpulent figure dripping with gold jewelry. "Is that Mammon?" Harry whispered. "One of his lieutenants." "Fuck, they must have followed us somehow." Luna pulled Harry away from the window. "We need to move again. But Blitzo will look for us here. Can't worry about that now. If they catch us," the door exploded inward, sending splinters flying across the room. Luna shoved Harry behind her, baring her teeth at the demons who filed in. Well, the gold-covered demon drawled. "A hellhound pup and the human child. My boss will be very pleased." "Fuck your boss," Luna snarled. "Touch the kid and I'll rip your throat out." The demon laughed. "Adorable. Take them both." His minions surged forward. Luna launched herself at them with a ferocity that startled even Harry, who had seen her temper before. She tore through the first two demons, blood spraying across the walls. But there were too many. As they closed in, Harry felt something building inside him, a familiar pressure that usually preceded magical accidents. But this time, instead of trying to suppress it, he let it grow. "Get away from her," he shouted, and the energy exploded outward. A shockwave of raw magic blasted through the room, sending demons flying in all directions. Windows shattered. The walls cracked. The gold-covered leader slammed against the ceiling, then crashed to the floor. For a moment, everything was still. Then Luna staggered to her feet, staring at Harry in shock. "Holy shit, Squirt." Harry swayed, suddenly lightheaded. "Did I do that?" "Yeah. Remind me not to piss you off." Luna grabbed his hand. "Come on, while they're down." They stumbled over unconscious demons toward the door, but before they could reach it, the gold-covered leader groaned and grabbed Harry's ankle. The boy fell hard. "Not so fast." The demon wheezed. Luna whirled around, her eyes blazing with protective fury. She stomped on the demon's wrist with a sickening crack, then hauled Harry up. "Nobody touches my brother." The words hung in the air, surprising both of them. But there was no time to dwell on it as more demons appeared in the doorway. Then a familiar voice cut through the chaos. "Get the fuck away from my kids." Blitzo stood in the shattered doorway, clothes torn and bloody, gun raised. Behind him, Moxie and Millie formed a defensive line, weapons ready. And above them all loomed Stolas, his form shifted into something ancient and terrifying, darkness swirling around him like living shadows. "Daddy!" Harry cried, the word slipping out unconsciously. Blitzo's eyes widened briefly before his face split into a manic grin. "Hang on, kiddo. Cavalry's here." What followed was the most impressive display of violence Harry had ever witnessed, and living with demon assassins, that was saying something. Blitzo moved like a force of nature, his usual chaotic style focused into lethal precision. Moxie and Millie worked in perfect tandem, dropping demons with terrifying efficiency. Luna stood protectively over Harry, dispatching any who got too close. And Stolas. Stolas was magnificent and horrifying. He didn't fight so much as unmake his opponents, reducing them to screaming shadows with gestures of his clawed hands. In minutes, it was over. The gold-covered demon lay pinned beneath Blitzo's boot, whimpering. "Tell Mammon," Blitzo said, pressing his gun to the demon's head, "that the kid is under IMP protection. And if he sends anyone else, we'll bring the fight to him personally." "You can't threaten a prince of hell," the demon gasped. "He'll destroy you all." "Maybe." Blitzo grinned. "But I'll make sure you go first." He fired a shot next to the demon's head, close enough to singe his ear. "Now get the fuck out of my sight." The demon scrambled away, fleeing with what remained of his crew. As soon as they were gone, Blitzo holstered his gun and rushed to Harry, dropping to one knee. "You okay, kid? They didn't hurt you, did they?" Harry shook his head, then launched himself at Blitzo, wrapping his arms around the demon's neck. "I was scared you wouldn't find us." "Are you kidding? I'd tear apart all of hell to find you." Blitzo hugged him tightly, then pulled back to examine him. "Luna kept you safe, huh?" "She called me her brother," Harry said, glancing at the hellhound who suddenly looked intensely interested in cleaning blood from her claws. "Did she now?" Blitzo raised an eyebrow. "Heat of the moment," Luna muttered. "Don't make it weird." "Wouldn't dream of it." Blitzo's grin suggested he absolutely would make it weird later. "Also, did you call me Daddy back there, or was I hallucinating from blood loss?" Harry blushed. "I didn't mean, no take-backs," Blitzo said quickly. "I'm officially Daddy now. Or Dad if you prefer. Or Father if you're feeling fancy. Or, Dad is good," Harry interrupted, smiling shyly. Something in Blitzo's expression shifted, a softness appearing that few had ever seen. "Yeah. Yeah, it is." Moxie cleared his throat. "This is all very touching, but perhaps we should relocate before reinforcements arrive." "Always the buzzkill, Mox." Blitzo stood, lifting Harry with him. "But you're right. Let's blow this popsicle stand." "Where will we go?" Harry asked. "They destroyed the office." "About that." Blitzo glanced at Stolas, who had returned to his more dignified form. "Bird Brain here has a suggestion." Stolas straightened his bow tie. "I've extended an invitation for you all to stay at my palace until more suitable arrangements can be made. It's secure, warded against intrusion, and has ample space for everyone." "Even me?" Luna asked suspiciously. "Of course, dear hellhound. Any family of Blitzies is welcome." Stolas's eyes glittered with amusement. Though I do suggest a bath first. You're all rather pungent. It's the smell of victory, Blitzo declared. Also blood and maybe some intestines. Did anyone else notice Moxie taking out that big guy with the exploding bullets? Fucking epic, Mox. Moxie looked simultaneously embarrassed and pleased. It was a calculated risk that happened to pay off. My Moxie's so talented, Millie gushed, kissing his cheek which immediately turned bright red. As they bantered, Harry felt a strange sense of peace settle over him. These demons, violent, chaotic, and deeply weird, had fought for him. Protected him. Called him family. For the first time in his life, he knew what home felt like. Stolas' palace made Buckingham look like a garden shed. Sprawling towers of obsidian and crystal stretched toward the crimson sky, surrounded by gardens filled with plants Harry had never seen before, flowers that whispered secrets, trees with glowing fruit, and hedges that rearranged themselves when no one was looking. Inside, servants, who appeared to be living shadows, showed them to luxurious rooms. Harry's was bigger than the Dursleys' entire house, with a bed that could comfortably fit 10 people and a ceiling that showed the actual stars of the universe, not hell's perpetual crimson sky. This place is amazing, Harry breathed, pressing his face against a window that overlooked a courtyard where stone statues danced when they thought no one was watching. It's acceptable, Blitzo sniffed, though he'd been caught wide-eyed several times. Bit much if you ask me. Says the guy who wants a solid gold hot tub, Luna muttered, flopping onto a couch that immediately adjusted to her preferred firmness. That's different. Gold hot tubs are classy. Their banter was interrupted by a knock. The door opened to reveal a tall, teenage owl demon who bore a striking resemblance to Stolas, though her feathers were darker and she wore clothes that reminded Harry of the punk rockers he'd glimpsed on TV before Uncle Vernon changed the channel. So you're the human everyone's talking about, she said, eyeing Harry curiously. I'm Octavia. I'm Harry. He waved shyly. Your dad's teaching me magic. Is he now? Octavia leaned against the doorframe. Better you than me. His lessons are so boring I'd rather poke my eyes out with a fork. Vaya. Stolas appeared behind his daughter. Don't scare the child. My lessons are perfectly engaging. You made me memorize the entire demonic hierarchy backwards while standing on one foot, Octavia reminded him. And your balance improved tremendously, Stolas countered, then turned to Harry. Don't mind my daughter. She's at that rebellious stage where everything I do is cringe, as the young ones say. Because it is, Octavia muttered, but there was fondness beneath her exasperation. Anyway, I just wanted to see the human kid that has all of hell buzzing. Not every day we get a living wizard child down here. I'm not that special, Harry said. Octavia tilted her head, studying him. Actually, you kind of are. The magic coming off you is wild. I can see why Dad's interested. Speaking of, Stolas clapped his hands, dinner will be served shortly, and afterward, perhaps a small demonstration of your abilities, Harry. Nothing strenuous, just to establish a baseline for your training. Go easy on him, Blitzo warned. Kids had a rough day. Of course, Blitzy. I am nothing if not sensitive to a child's needs. Stolas swept out of the room, adding over his shoulder, Octavia, do show them to the dining hall when they're ready. When he was gone, Octavia rolled her eyes. So you're the famous IMP crew Dad won't shut up about. Especially you. She pointed at Blitzo. He has a playlist called Blitzy Vibes and it's all sad love songs. I did not need to know that, Blitzo groaned, covering his face. Just thought I'd warn you what you're getting into. Octavia pushed off the doorframe. Dinner in 20. Don't be late or the soup will eat you instead. She left, closing the door behind her. I like her, Luna decided. You would, Blitzo muttered. She's like you with feathers. Harry sat on the edge of the enormous bed, suddenly overwhelmed by everything. Is this really happening? Living with demons, learning magic, staying in a palace. Blitzo sat beside him, the mattress barely dipping under his weight. Lot to take in, huh? It's just. Harry struggled to find the words. 6 months ago I was sleeping in a cupboard, and everyone hated me. Now I have a family. And a dad. He looked up at Blitzo. Is that okay? That I called you dad? Something softened in Blitzo's face. More than okay, kid. Though I gotta warn you, I'm probably the worst dad in the history of dads. I don't know shit about raising kids. You're doing better than the Dursleys, Harry pointed out. Low bar, but I'll take it. Blitzo ruffled Harry's hair. Look, I can't promise I won't fuck up. Actually, I can promise I will fuck up, repeatedly and spectacularly. But I can also promise I'll always have your back. We all will. He gestured to where Moxie, Millie, and Luna stood awkwardly pretending not to eavesdrop. We're a family now? Harry asked hopefully. Weirdest fucking family in hell, Luna said, but yeah, I guess we are. Moxie nodded. Though perhaps we should moderate our language around the child. Fuck that, Blitzo and Luna said simultaneously, then high-fived. Millie giggled. One big happy murder family. Harry beamed. A family. His family. It wasn't what anyone would expect, a demon assassin for a dad, a hellhound for a sister, and the strangest aunt and uncle imaginable, but it was perfect. As they headed to dinner, Harry couldn't help wondering what Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia would think if they could see him now, walking through a demon prince's palace with his new family. The thought made him smile. For once, being a freak felt pretty great. Dinner at Stolas's palace was an experience. The table stretched longer than a bus, covered in dishes Harry couldn't identify and some he could swear were watching him. Servants glided silently around them, refilling glasses with liquids that changed color depending on who was drinking them. Try the bubbling green stuff, Octavia suggested, pushing a bowl toward Harry. It tastes like what humans call ice cream, but it makes you temporarily float. Don't give him weird food, Blitzo protested. Kid's got a delicate human stomach. Says the demon who fed him hellhound kibble his first week here, Luna muttered. I thought it was cereal. Harry cautiously tried the green substance. It tasted like mint chocolate chip ice cream, and sure enough, he felt his chair lifting slightly off the ground. Whoa! Told you, Octavia said with a smirk. Stolas observed them from the head of the table, sipping a glowing blue liquid. I'm so pleased you're all getting along. It's been ages since we've had proper guests. Most visitors are just boring dignitaries or demons trying to curry favor. Why is everyone so interested in curry? Harry asked, still floating slightly. Moxie choked on his drink while Millie patted his back. Figure of speech, kid, Blitzo explained. Means they're trying to get on his good side. Oh. Harry returned to his floating ice cream. Like how Dudley would act extra nice to Aunt Petunia when he wanted a new toy. Exactly like that, Stolas confirmed. Politics in hell is very similar to a spoiled child manipulating his mother, just with more disembowelment. The conversation drifted to the rebuilding of IMP's office. Stolas offered financial assistance, which Blitzo initially refused out of pride but eventually accepted when Moxie kicked him under the table. We'll need better security this time, Moxie said. Motion sensors, reinforced walls, perhaps some magical wards if Prince Stolas wouldn't mind consulting. It would be my pleasure, Stolas purred, making Blitzo choke on his drink. As dinner wound down, Stolas led them to a massive chamber that appeared to be a combination library and magical workspace. Books floated between shelves of their own accord. Strange instruments whirred and pulsed on tables. In the center of the room, a large circle was inlaid in the floor with symbols Harry didn't recognize. My personal sanctum, Stolas explained. Perfect for assessing young Harry's abilities. Harry approached the circle nervously. What do I have to do? Simply stand in the center, dear boy. The circle will respond to your magical signature and help us understand the nature of your powers. Blitzo stepped forward. Is this safe? Perfectly, Stolas assured him. It's merely a diagnostic tool. Like a magical X-ray. If anything happens to him, Blitzy, please. I've been practicing magic since before your great-grandfather was a twinkle in Satan's eye. The boy is in good hands. With a reassuring nod from Blitzo, Harry stepped into the circle. Immediately, the symbols began to glow, changing from white to green to a brilliant gold. Stolas's eyes widened. Extraordinary, he breathed. The boy has a magical core unlike anything I've seen in a human. It's adapting to hell's energies, integrating them rather than being corrupted by them. Is that good? Harry asked, watching in fascination as the golden light swirled around him. It's unprecedented, Stolas replied. Human magic and hell's energy should be incompatible. Yet yours is, harmonizing with it. Fascinating. But is it dangerous? Blitzo pressed. Not inherently, no. But it does explain the outbursts. Your magic is seeking balance, young Harry. Without proper guidance, it will continue to manifest in unpredictable ways. Stolas gestured, and the light formed into complex patterns. I can teach you to channel it properly. So I won't accidentally set things on fire anymore. Harry asked hopefully. Oh, you still might, Stolas chuckled. But it will be intentional fire setting, which is much more satisfying. The demonstration continued, with Stolas guiding Harry through simple exercises, levitating objects, changing their colors, basic transformations. By the end, Harry was exhausted but exhilarated. He'd never been allowed to practice magic intentionally before. You did wonderfully, Stolas told him. With regular lessons, you'll have control in no time. And then the random magical explosions will stop? Moxie asked hopefully. Most likely, yes. Thanks Satan, Moxie sighed. I'm still finding feathers from when he accidentally turned my bow ties into chickens. Harry yawned widely, the day's events finally catching up with him. Someone needs bed, Millie observed. I'm not tired, Harry protested, even as his eyelids drooped. Sure you're not, kid. Blitzo scooped him up. Let's get you tucked in. Big day tomorrow with magic lessons and all that shit. As they left the sanctum, Stolas called after them. Blitzy, a word before you retire. Blitzo passed Harry to Luna. Get him settled. I'll be right there. When the others had gone, Stolas's demeanor changed, becoming more serious than Blitzo had ever seen him. The boy is special, Blitzy. More special than you realize. Tell me something I don't know. The magical signature in his scar. Stolas hesitated. It bears similarities to ancient binding magic. The kind used to contain powerful entities. Blitzo frowned. What are you saying? I'm saying there's more to young Harry than meets the eye. The scar is not merely a curse mark, it's a connection to whoever gave it to him. A connection that remains active. Active? You mean someone spying on him? Not exactly. More like, they're linked. And given the dark nature of the magic, that concerns me. Stolas's 4 eyes fixed on Blitzo. The wizards who attacked you that first night, they called their master VM. Yeah, why? There are rumors in certain circles about a dark wizard from the living world. A powerful one who cheated death through the blackest of magics. His name is not spoken, but it's whispered that his initials are VM. Voldemort, Blitzo said, the name suddenly coming to him from one of Moxie's research reports. But he's dead, right? That's the whole boy who lived thing. Harry survived when this Voldemort guy tried to kill him. The body may be gone, but if my suspicions are correct, something of him remains. Stolas placed a hand on Blitzo's shoulder. Be vigilant, Blitzy. Harry is safe for now, but whoever wants him dead won't give up easily. Let them try, Blitzo growled. Nobody's touching my kid. Stolas smiled faintly. It's rather endearing, seeing you so protective. Perhaps there's hope for you yet. Don't get sappy on me, Feathers. Blitzo shrugged off Stolas's hand. Just help me keep Harry safe. And teach him how to not blow shit up by accident. The rest we'll handle. As you wish. Stolas stepped back. Good night, Blitzy. Do feel free to stop by my chambers if you have any concerns during the night. Yeah, keep it in your pants, bird brain. But Blitzo's tone lacked its usual bite. And, thanks. For helping the kid. My pleasure, truly. Stolas watched Blitzo leave, his expression thoughtful. More than you know. Harry's magical training began in earnest the next day. After breakfast, where Harry discovered bacon that oinks when you bite it, Stolas led him back to the sanctum for his first proper lesson. Magic is about intent, focus, and energy, Stolas explained, pacing around Harry who stood nervously in the center of the circle. Human wizards use wands to channel and direct their magic. Without a wand, you must learn to channel it through your will alone. Is that harder? Harry asked. Much. But also more rewarding. A wizard dependent on his wand is vulnerable when disarmed. You will have no such weakness. Stolas gestured, and a feather appeared, floating before Harry. Let's begin with levitation. Focus on the feather. Feel your magic reaching out to it. Harry stared at the feather, concentrating until his head hurt. The feather wobbled but didn't rise. You're trying too hard, Stolas observed. Magic isn't forced, it's guided. Imagine the feather floating, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. Harry tried again, this time picturing the feather rising gently. To his surprise, it lifted smoothly, hovering at eye level. Excellent. Stolas clapped. Now, move it in a circle. The lesson continued for hours, with Stolas pushing Harry to try increasingly complex magic. By lunchtime, Harry could levitate multiple objects, change their colors, and even perform simple transformations like turning a cup into a bell. The kid's a natural, Blitzo bragged to Moxie and Millie as they watched from the sidelines. Gets it from his old man. You don't have magic, Moxie pointed out. Yeah, but if I did, I'd be awesome at it. As the days passed, Harry's control improved dramatically. The accidental magical outbursts decreased, replaced by intentional spellcasting. Stolas was a strict but encouraging teacher, pushing Harry to his limits while ensuring he didn't overtax himself. The IMP crew settled into a routine at Stolas's palace. They continued taking contracts, leaving Harry with Stolas and Octavia during the day and returning with wild stories of their assassinations. Harry never seemed bothered by their profession, accepting it as normal in a way that occasionally concerned Moxie. Should we be discussing dismemberment techniques at the dinner table? He whispered one evening after Millie had graphically described removing a target's spine. Kids gotta learn sometime, Blitzo shrugged. Besides, it's educational. Anatomy and shit. One afternoon, about a week into their stay, Harry was practicing transforming a block of wood into different shapes when Octavia wandered into the sanctum. How's the magic going? She asked, dropping into a chair to watch. Pretty good. I haven't set anything on fire in 3 days. Low bar, but progress is progress. Octavia propped her feet on a table. So what's the deal with you and my dad? Why is he so interested in teaching you? Harry shrugged, turning the block into a miniature castle. He says my magic is unique because I'm a living human in hell. There's more to it than that, Octavia said knowingly. Dad doesn't invest this much time in just anyone. He knows something about you that's got him intrigued. Like what? No idea. But I overheard him talking to some of his creepy book friends about connections and vessels and dark magic. All very dramatic and mysterious. Harry touched his scar reflexively. Maybe it's this. Your dad said it's from dark magic, not a car crash like my aunt and uncle told me. Octavia leaned forward, studying the lightning bolt mark. Definitely magical. You can practically feel the energy coming off it. She hesitated. Does it ever hurt? Or feel weird? Sometimes it tingles. And I get headaches when. Harry paused, realizing he'd never shared this with anyone. When I have nightmares about green light and someone laughing. Octavia's eyes widened. You should definitely tell my dad about that. Tell me what? Stolas appeared in the doorway, several ancient books floating behind him. As Harry explained about his scar and the nightmares, Stolas's expression grew increasingly troubled. He approached Harry, gently placing a clawed finger near the scar without touching it. I suspected as much, he murmured. The connection is stronger than I feared. Connection to what, Dad? Octavia asked. Not what? Who? Stolas knelt to Harry's level. The wizard who gave you this scar, Voldemort, left a piece of himself behind. A magical link that connects you to him. Harry felt cold despite hell's perpetual heat. He's inside me. Not precisely. Think of it more as an echo, or a shadow. It cannot control you, but it does create a connection. Stolas's 4 eyes fixed on Harry's. This may explain your magical outbursts. Your power is naturally fighting against this foreign presence. Can you remove it? Harry asked quietly. Stolas hesitated. Such magic is complex and dangerous. I would need to research further before attempting anything. For now, we'll focus on strengthening your own magic, creating barriers against the connection. Harry nodded, though fear churned in his stomach. Someone who had tried to kill him had left a piece of themselves attached to him. The thought made his skin crawl. Does Blitzo know? He asked. I've shared my suspicions, yes. He was colorfully vocal about what he'd like to do to this Voldemort character. That made Harry smile slightly. Of course Blitzo would be angry on his behalf. His new dad might be chaotic and impulsive, but his protectiveness was absolute. Don't worry, kid, Octavia said, punching his arm lightly. Nobody's getting through Dad's wards, and I hear your demon family is pretty badass too. This Voldemort asshole doesn't stand a chance. Language, dear, Stolas admonished, though without much conviction. But she's right, Harry. You're safe here. And we'll find a way to deal with this connection. Harry nodded, feeling slightly better. Having people who actually cared about his well-being was still new, but he was getting used to it. And despite the revelation about his scar, he felt safer than he ever had with the Dursleys. That night, however, the nightmares came stronger than ever. Green light. Hi, cold laughter. A woman screaming his name. But this time, there was something new, a sense of awareness, as if whatever lurked in his dreams knew he was there. He woke gasping, his scar burning. Without thinking, he scrambled out of bed and ran down the hall to Blitzo's room, slipping inside and climbing onto the massive bed. Wah! Blitzo sat up groggily. Kid? What's wrong? Nightmare, Harry whispered, trembling. My scar hurts. Fully awake now, Blitzo pulled Harry close. Bad one, huh? Harry nodded against Blitzo's chest. Can I stay here? Course you can. Blitzo settled back, keeping an arm around Harry. Nothing's getting past me, kid. Promise. Harry believed him. Despite everything, the mysterious connection to Voldemort, the attacks, the dangers of hell itself, he felt safe with his strange new family. As he drifted back to sleep, he thought he heard Blitzo softly humming a lullaby, though the demon would certainly deny it in the morning. 2 months into their stay at Stolas's palace, Harry's control over his magic had improved dramatically. He could now perform complex spells without a wand, manipulating objects with ease and even creating small illusions that delighted Millie and annoyed Moxie. The IMP office had been rebuilt, stronger than before and warded by Stolas himself against magical and physical attacks. Though they still spent most nights at the palace, the team had resumed full operations, with Harry occasionally accompanying them to the office when his lessons allowed. Kid's a natural businessman, Blitzo boasted one afternoon as Harry charmed a potential client with his innocent questions and subtle flattery. Got them to agree to a higher rate without even trying. He's manipulating people with cuteness, Luna observed. It's kind of impressive. Life had fallen into a comfortable rhythm. Harry's nightmares still came occasionally, but they seemed less intense, perhaps due to the protective exercises Stolas had taught him. The attacks from Mammon's forces had ceased after a particularly brutal confrontation where Stolas demonstrated exactly why he was feared even among Hell's nobility. It was during this period of relative calm that the letter arrived. They were having breakfast in the palace dining room, Blitzo arguing with Moxie about proper grenade storage while Millie constructed a tower out of toast for Harry's amusement, when a shadow servant glided in bearing a silver tray with a single envelope. Correspondence for Master Potter, the servant announced in a voice like rustling leaves. Everyone fell silent as the servant placed the envelope before Harry. It was made of heavy parchment, sealed with red wax stamped with an ornate H. Who even knows you're here? Luna asked, leaning over to examine the letter. Harry shook his head, mystified. He carefully broke the seal and unfolded the parchment inside. Dear Mr. Potter, he read aloud. We have been informed of your current location and situation. Representatives of the International Confederation of Wizards, in cooperation with the British Ministry of Magic, will be arriving to discuss your immediate return to the wizarding world. As the boy who lived, your safety and proper magical education are of paramount importance. Please expect our delegation on the 15th of October at noon. Yours sincerely, Albus Dumbledore, Supreme Mugwump, International Confederation of Wizards. Silence fell over the table. The fuck is a mugwump? Blitzo finally asked. Some kind of wizard title, I believe, Stolas said, plucking the letter from Harry's numb fingers to examine it. More concerning is how they located Harry. My wards should have prevented such tracking. They want to take me away, Harry whispered, his appetite gone. Back to the human world. Like hell they will, Blitzo growled. You're staying right here where you belong. But they're wizards, Harry said. Powerful ones, probably. And they say it's for my safety. Kid, you were living in a fucking cupboard before we found you. Forgive me if I don't trust their definition of safety. Stolas tapped the letter thoughtfully. This Dumbledore is indeed powerful if he could penetrate my wards enough to send a message. We should prepare for their arrival. Prepare how? Moxie asked nervously. Are we talking diplomatic negotiations or barricaded defenses? Both, I think, Stolas replied. We'll hear what they have to say, but we'll be ready for less civilized approaches should they attempt to take Harry by force. Harry looked around at the demons who had become his family. Blitzo's protective anger. Luna's subtle shift to position herself closer to him. Moxie's calculating expression as he likely planned defensive strategies. Millie's normally cheerful face now set in determination. And Stolas, powerful and regal, already considering magical countermeasures. For the first time since the letter arrived, Harry felt a surge of confidence. I don't want to go with them, he said firmly. I want to stay here. With all of you. Blitzo ruffled his hair. That's the spirit, kid. Don't worry, nobody's taking you anywhere. The days leading up to the wizard's arrival were tense. Stolas reinforced the palace wards, Moxie and Millie stockpiled weapons, and Blitzo alternated between making increasingly elaborate threats about what he'd do to the wizards and reassuring Harry that everything would be fine. Harry continued his lessons with renewed determination, pushing himself to master more difficult spells. If wizards were coming to judge whether he was receiving proper magical education, he wanted to show them exactly what he could do. The morning of October 15th arrived with an unusual stillness over hell. Even the perpetual screams of the damned seemed muted, as if the realm itself was holding its breath. "Ready, kid?" Blitzo asked as they gathered in Stolas's grand receiving room at 11:45. Harry nodded, though his stomach churned with anxiety. He wore his best clothes, a miniature version of Moxie's suit that Millie had insisted on having made for him, complete with a tiny bow tie. "Remember," Stolas instructed, "let me handle the initial diplomatic exchange. These wizards will respect the hierarchy of hell, even if reluctantly." "And if diplomacy fails?" Moxie asked, checking his weapons one last time. Stolas smiled, his beak somehow forming a predatory expression. "Then we show them why mortals fear demons." At precisely noon, the air in the center of the room shimmered and split, forming a portal unlike the ones IMP used. This one glowed with blue-white light, swirling like water. Through it stepped 3 figures. The first was an elderly man with a long silver beard, half-moon spectacles, and robes spangled with stars and moons. Despite his grandfatherly appearance, power radiated from him like heat from a furnace. Behind him came a severe-looking woman with her hair pulled into a tight bun, wearing emerald-green robes and an expression that suggested she rarely approved of anything. The third was younger, with shabby robes and premature lines on his face. His eyes immediately found Harry, widening in what appeared to be relief. "Harry Potter," the elderly wizard said, his voice gentle yet carrying authority. "At last we've found you. Albus Dumbledore, I presume." Stolas stepped forward, his full height towering over the wizards. "Welcome to my palace. Though I must say, arriving unannounced through a portal is considered quite rude in hell." "Your letter specified noon," the elderly wizard, Dumbledore, replied calmly. And under the circumstances, traditional protocols seemed less important than confirming young Harry's well-being. His blue eyes found Harry, who stood partially hidden behind Blitzo. "My boy, are you all right? We've been searching for you for so long." Before Harry could answer, Blitzo stepped fully in front of him. "Kid's fine. Better than he was with those abusive assholes you left him with." The severe woman inhaled sharply. "Abusive? What nonsense is this?" "They kept him in a cupboard," Luna growled. "Made him do all the chores while their own kid got everything. Called him a freak." "Impossible," the woman said, though uncertainty flickered in her eyes. "Albus assured us he was placed with family who would care for him." "Evidently your information was flawed," Stolas observed coolly. "The boy was being mistreated, which is why Blitzo removed him from that environment." "Removed" is an interesting euphemism for kidnapping, the third wizard finally spoke, his voice hoarse but gentle. "It's not kidnapping if the kid's better off," Blitzo countered. "And he is. Look at him. He's healthy, happy, learning magic, learning magic." "Here." Dumbledore's eyebrows rose. "From demons?" Harry finally stepped forward, tired of being talked about as if he wasn't there. "Prince Stolas has been teaching me. I can do lots of things now. Want to see?" Without waiting for an answer, he focused on a vase of flowers nearby. The blossoms detached, swirling through the air to form a miniature replica of Hogwarts Castle that he'd seen in one of Stolas's books. The flowers then transformed into tiny birds that flew around the room before returning to the vase, reforming into flowers of different colors. The wizard stared in astonishment. "Wandless magic," the severe woman whispered. "At his age." "Indeed, Minerva," Dumbledore murmured. "Most impressive." The third wizard stepped forward, kneeling to Harry's level. "Harry, I'm Remus Lupin. I was a friend of your parents. We've been very worried about you." "My parents?" Harry's interest immediately sharpened. "You knew them?" "I did. Your father was one of my best friends. Your mother was the brightest witch of our age." Remus smiled sadly. You have her eyes, you know. Something warm and painful bloomed in Harry's chest. No one had ever told him he looked like his parents before. Can you tell me about them? He asked eagerly. I'd be happy to. There's so much you should know about James and Lily. Blitzo cleared his throat loudly. That's great and all, but it doesn't change the fact that we're not letting you take Harry. He's staying right here, with his family. Family? The word seemed to catch Dumbledore by surprise. You consider yourselves his family? Damn right we do, Blitzo said fiercely. Kid's mine now. Officially adopted him according to Hell's laws. This was news to Harry, who looked up at Blitzo in surprise. You did? Signed the paperwork last week, Blitzo admitted. Was gonna tell you on your half-year kidnapiversary. Surprise. Harry felt a rush of emotion so intense his magic reacted, causing all the lights to flare briefly. Dumbledore watched this exchange with keen interest. I see there is much more to this situation than we realized. Perhaps we should discuss this calmly. Fine, Stolas gestured to a seating area. Let us be civilized about this. What followed was one of the strangest diplomatic negotiations Hell had ever witnessed. Demons and wizards, seated on opposite sides of an ornate table, discussing the future of a small boy who sat awkwardly between them. Dumbledore explained the wizarding world, Voldemort's fall, and the protection Harry should have had through his mother's sacrifice. The blood wards tied to your aunt were meant to keep you safe from Voldemort's followers. Fat lot of good they did, Blitzo scoffed. Kid was miserable. I deeply regret that, Dumbledore said, and he seemed genuinely troubled. I believed your aunt would overcome her differences with your mother for the sake of family. Well, she didn't, Harry said quietly. She hated me. They all did. And now you found a home here, among demons. Dumbledore's tone wasn't judgmental, merely thoughtful. Quite extraordinary. He belongs in the wizarding world, Minerva insisted. Learning proper magic at Hogwarts when he's 11, making friends his own age, preparing for his future. Kid's doing fine here, Blitzo argued. Stolas is teaching him magic, he's got Luna for a sister, and we're dealing with the whole Voldemort connection thing. That caught the wizard's attention sharply. What do you know of that? Dumbledore asked, suddenly alert. Stolas tilted his head. I've identified the magical signature in Harry's scar as a connection to the one who gave it to him. A most unusual piece of magic, almost like a fragment of soul. The color drained from Dumbledore's face. You've been studying the scar? Of course. The boy was having nightmares, his magic was unstable. Any competent magical practitioner would investigate. Stolas's eyes narrowed. You knew about this connection, didn't you? I had suspicions. Yet you left him with non-magical relatives who couldn't possibly protect his mind or help him understand what was happening. Stolas's voice grew cold. Curious decision. Tension crackled in the air. Harry looked between the adults, anxiety building. I don't want to go back, he said suddenly, breaking the silence. I want to stay here. With Blitzo and Luna and everyone. Harry, Remus said gently, the wizarding world is where you belong. Your parents would want, you don't know what they'd want, Harry interrupted. They're dead. And the only family I had locked me in a cupboard and called me a freak. But here I have people who actually care about me. Damn straight, Blitzo agreed. Dumbledore studied Harry for a long moment. You genuinely wish to remain here? In hell? With demons? They're my family now, Harry said simply. Something shifted in Dumbledore's expression. I see. This presents quite the dilemma. Legally, you remain a ward of the wizarding world, yet clearly your welfare has been better served by your unconventional new guardians. So what happens now? Harry asked nervously. Dumbledore exchanged glances with his colleagues, then seemed to come to a decision. Perhaps a compromise. Harry remains here, under your guardianship, but with regular contact with the wizarding world. When he reaches 11, he attends Hogwarts during the school year, returning to Hell for holidays. You'd let him stay with us? Blitzo asked suspiciously. Under certain conditions, Dumbledore specified. Regular welfare checks, continued magical education appropriate to his age, and safeguards against Hell's more corrupting influences. Define corrupting, Luna challenged. I believe he means the constant murder and mayhem, dear, Stola supplied helpfully. Oh. Yeah, that tracks. Negotiations continued for hours, with both sides making concessions and demands. By the end, an unprecedented agreement had been reached. Harry would remain in Hell under Blitzo's guardianship, with Stolas overseeing his magical education. Remus would visit monthly to teach him about wizarding culture and his parents' history. At 11, he would attend Hogwarts, returning to Hell during breaks. As the wizards prepared to leave, Dumbledore approached Harry one last time. This is quite the unusual arrangement, my boy. Are you certain it's what you want? Harry looked at the demons who had become his family. Blitzo, pretending not to watch nervously. Luna, failing to appear disinterested. Moxie and Millie, holding hands anxiously. Stolas, observing with his enigmatic four-eyed gaze. I'm sure, Harry said firmly. This is where I belong now. Dumbledore nodded slowly. Then we shall make it work. I must admit, I never imagined the boy who lived would be raised in Hell itself. Rather throws all our prophecies into disarray. Prophecies? Harry asked, but Dumbledore merely smiled. A discussion for when you're older, perhaps. Until then, be well, Harry Potter. It seems you found quite the family. As the portal closed behind the wizards, Blitzo whooped loudly, scooping Harry into the air. We won. Kids officially ours. Was there ever any doubt? Luna asked, though relief was evident in her posture. I thought that severe lady was going to hex us all when Millie started describing our last assassination, Moxie commented. Worth it to see her face. Millie giggled. Harry looked around at all of them, a strange warmth filling his chest. 6 months ago, he'd been a neglected, unloved child sleeping in a cupboard. Now he was the adopted son of a demon assassin, with a hellhound for a sister, demon prince as a tutor, and the strangest extended family imaginable. It wasn't normal. It wasn't what anyone would expect for the boy who lived. But it was his, and for the first time in his life, Harry Potter knew exactly where he belonged. So, Blitzo said, arms slung around Harry's shoulders. Who wants to celebrate with pizza that screams when you bite it? Me. Harry laughed, leaning into his demon dad's side, completely at home in Hell. Behind them, Stolas watched with a mixture of amusement and concern. The wizards had departed, but the matter of Harry's Scar connection remained unresolved. Dark times lay ahead, he suspected. But for now, the boy deserved this moment of happiness with his unlikely family. Hell, after all, was what you made of it. Chapter 3, Worlds Collide. I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good, Harry whispered, placing his hand against the office door. The lock clicked open with a soft magical pulse. Harry grinned, pushing the door carefully to avoid the squeaky hinge. Inside, Blitzo's office was dark except for the glow of Hell's eternal flames through the window. Coast is clear, Harry whispered, waving Octavia forward. The teenage owl demon slipped in behind him, clutching a bag that clinked suspiciously. Your dad's gonna murder us if he catches us, she muttered, moving toward the desk. No, he won't. He'll murder you. I'm his favorite. Harry climbed onto Blitzo's chair and spun around once for good measure. Besides, after that boring meeting with the Hellhound Adoption Agency, he deserves this. 2 years had passed since the wizards had negotiated Harry's unusual guardianship arrangement. At 7 years old, Harry Potter had transformed from the timid boy in a cupboard to a confident, mischievous Hellraiser, who navigated demon society with surprising ease. His magical abilities had flourished under Stolas' tutelage, and his monthly visits from Remus Lupin had filled in many blanks about his parents and the wizarding world. "You got the itching powder?" Harry asked, rifling through Blitzo's desk. Octavia produced a small vial of glittering red powder. "Dad's special formula. 1 pinch and you're scratching for days." "Perfect." Harry grabbed Blitzo's spare suit from the closet. "Just a tiny bit in the collar. We want him uncomfortable at the Overlord's gala, not actually murderous." "Remind me why we're pranking your dad again." "Because he banned me from last week's mission even though I'm totally old enough to watch an assassination." Harry carefully sprinkled the powder inside the suit collar. "Plus he ate my last hellhound cookie." "Valid reasons for demonic revenge," Octavia agreed solemnly, though her eyes sparkled with mischief. They finished rigging several more harmless but annoying pranks. Blitzo's favorite pen now wrote in disappearing ink, his chair would make fart noises when sat on, and his coffee mug had been enchanted to insult him in Stolas' voice. "Mission accomplished," Harry declared, high-fiving Octavia. "Now let's get out before," the lights flicked on. "Before you get caught." Luna stood in the doorway, arms crossed but a smirk playing at her lips. "Amateur hour, you too." Harry smiled innocently. "Hey, Luna. We were just checking office security. Very important." "Aha." Luna strolled in, picking up the vial of itching powder and examining it. "Stolas' formula. Nice choice. Dad's gonna lose his shit." At 19, Luna had grown into a formidable hellhound. Taller, more confident, and marginally less sullen, she'd embraced her role as Harry's big sister with reluctant enthusiasm. She still maintained her prickly exterior, but anyone who threatened Harry quickly discovered just how dangerous she could be. "You gonna rat us out?" Harry asked, already knowing the answer. "Nah. This I gotta see." Luna pocketed the vial. "But next time, don't break in when I'm on security duty. Makes me look bad." "Sorry, sis." Harry hopped off the chair. "We'll be more sneaky." "Damn right you will. I've got a reputation to maintain." Luna ruffled his perpetually messy hair. "Now scram before the others get back from lunch." Harry and Octavia slipped out, giggling as they raced down the hall. The IMP offices had been completely redesigned after the attacks 2 years ago, larger, more secure, with magical wards designed by Stolas himself. An entire wing had been dedicated to Harry's education and training, complete with a small magical laboratory that had only exploded twice this year, a significant improvement. "Back to the palace?" Octavia asked as they reached the lobby. "Can't. Moxie's giving me economics lessons at 3. Harry made a face. "He thinks I need to understand fiscal responsibility before I can go on missions." "Boring. Wanna set stuff on fire instead?" "Always." Harry grinned, then hesitated. "But Moxie's been really trying with these lessons. He made little worksheets with skulls on them and everything." Octavia raised an eyebrow. "Look at you, being all responsible. Hell's corrupting you in reverse." "Shut up." Harry shoved her playfully. "Being responsible sometimes just means I get away with more shit later. Now that's proper demonic thinking." Octavia checked her phone. "I gotta head back anyway. Dad's hosting some visiting dignitaries from the Pride Ring, and he wants me to represent the family with suitable decorum." "So you'll be wearing the spiked collar and the eat shit and die t-shirt?" "Obviously." She fist bumped him. "Later, hellspawn." As Octavia left, Harry wandered back toward the classroom wing. He had 30 minutes before Moxie's lesson, just enough time to practice the new spell Stolas had taught him yesterday. The training room was empty when Harry entered. He approached the center of the room where a ritual circle had been permanently etched into the floor. Standing within it, he closed his eyes, concentrating on the magical energy that had become as familiar as breathing. Ignis Parvis, he whispered, cupping his hands. A small blue flame appeared, hovering above his palms. Harry grinned, focusing harder. The flame grew, shifting from blue to green to purple. Forma mutere, he continued, visualizing what he wanted. The flame twisted, forming the shape of a small dragon that flew circles around his head. Harry laughed as it swooped and dived, leaving trails of sparks in its wake. Impressive control. Harry startled, losing concentration. The flame dragon dissolved, showering harmless sparks. Moxie stood in the doorway, arms laden with textbooks. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Moxie set the books on a nearby table. That was quite advanced spellwork. Prince Stolas taught me yesterday. Harry rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Was I supposed to wait for supervision? Technically, yes. Moxie straightened his bow tie. But your control has improved significantly, so I'll pretend I didn't see anything. Thanks, Mox. Harry bounced over to examine the books. So what's today's lesson? More about profit margins. Interest rates, actually. Moxie pulled out a chair for Harry. If you're going to run a successful business someday, understanding compound interest is essential. Harry stifled a groan. Moxie had been increasingly focused on preparing him for future, career options, that didn't involve assassination. Not that Blitzo shared this concern, he regularly promised Harry his own gun once he turned 10. The lesson proceeded with Moxie's typical thoroughness. Despite himself, Harry found the mathematical principles interesting, especially when Moxie framed them in terms of maximizing murder profits to keep his attention. They were halfway through calculating a particularly complex interest problem when the building's alarm system suddenly blared to life. What the? Moxie jumped up, reaching for the gun he always kept holstered under his jacket. The intercom crackled. Code red. All personnel to defensive positions. Millie's voice rang through the speakers. Harry to safe room immediately. What's happening? Harry asked, already moving toward the door. Code red meant imminent attack, something they hadn't faced in over a year. Stay behind me, Moxie ordered, all traces of the patient teacher gone, replaced by the professional assassin. We need to get you to the safe room. They hurried down the hallway toward the center of the building where a magically reinforced room had been built specifically for emergencies. Through windows, Harry glimpsed IMP employees rushing to defensive positions, weapons drawn. There they are. Blitzo's voice carried down the corridor as he sprinted toward them, guns already drawn. Mox, get Harry locked down. We've got incoming. Who is it? Harry asked, heart pounding. Mammon again. Worse. Blitzo's expression was grim. Wizards. Harry stumbled, shock washing over him. Wizards? But the agreement, fuck the agreement. These aren't Dumbledore's people. Blitzo grabbed Harry's shoulder, pushing him toward Moxie. Move. They raced through the building as chaos erupted outside. Through a shattered window, Harry glimpsed figures in dark robes and silver masks firing spells at the building's defenses. Death Eaters, he whispered, recognizing the description from Remus's stories about Voldemort's followers. Get down. Blitzo tackled both of them as a blast of green light shattered the wall above their heads. Debris rained down as they scrambled behind an overturned desk. How did they find me? Harry gasped, coughing through the dust. Don't know, don't care. What matters is they're not taking you. Blitzo peered over the desk, firing several shots. A scream suggested he'd hit his target. Mox, continue to the safe room. I'll cover you. Moxie nodded grimly, pulling Harry close. Stay low, Harry. Ready? Go. They dashed down the hall, ducking as spells blasted around them. Harry caught glimpses of the battle through doorways and windows, Millie dual-wielding axes as she faced off against robed figures, Luna tearing through enemies with feral rage, other IMP employees fighting with the desperate determination of those defending their home. Just as they reached the safe room, a massive explosion rocked the building. The ceiling collapsed in front of them, blocking their path. Shit! Moxie yanked Harry backward as dust and debris filled the corridor. We're cut off. Alternate route, Harry coughed, pointing to a side passage. Through the lab. They changed direction, racing through hallways increasingly filled with smoke. Behind them, the sounds of battle grew louder as wizards breached deeper into the building. The lab door was locked when they reached it. Stand back, Moxie ordered, aiming his gun at the lock. Wait. Harry pushed forward, placing his hand against the door. Aperier, he whispered, focusing his magic. The lock clicked open. Nice work, Moxie said approvingly, ushering him inside. Stolas would be proud. The magical laboratory was filled with arcane instruments and materials that Stolas had provided for Harry's education. Bubbling cauldrons, strange crystals, and ancient tomes lined the shelves. There's a passage behind the bookcase, Harry said, rushing to the far wall. Blitzo showed me during the last security drill. Before they could reach it, the lab door burst open again. 3 masked wizards stood in the doorway, wands raised. Potter, one of them hissed. Our Lord requires your presence. Moxie fired without hesitation, forcing the wizards to shield themselves. Harry, run. Harry dashed toward the bookcase, frantically searching for the hidden lever. Behind him, Moxie exchanged fire with the wizards, bullets meeting magical shields in flashes of light. Found it. Harry yanked the lever disguised as a book spine. The bookcase slid aside, revealing a dark passage. Harry turned back to call Moxie, just in time to see the imp thrown across the room by a powerful spell, crashing into shelves of potions that shattered on impact. Moxie! Harry screamed. The lead wizard advanced, wand pointed directly at Harry's heart. The Dark Lord awaits, Potter. Come quietly or watch your demon friends die one by one. Rage and fear surged through Harry, more powerful than he'd ever felt. His scar burned white-hot as magic gathered around him in visible waves. You hurt my family, he growled, hands beginning to glow with emerald fire. Big mistake. The wizard faltered, momentarily taken aback by the raw power emanating from the 7-year-old. That hesitation was all Harry needed. Repellera, he shouted, channeling every ounce of his fury into the spell Stolas had taught him for emergencies only. A shockwave of magic exploded outward, slamming the wizards against the far wall with bone-crushing force. Vials exploded, equipment flew, and the very foundations of the building seemed to shudder. In the sudden silence that followed, Harry ran to Moxie, who lay groaning among shattered glass. Moxie! Are you okay? The imp blinked hazily. Did you just take out 3 adult wizards by yourself? I got mad. Harry helped him sit up. We need to find the others. Harry, Moxie gripped his arm, that was advanced combat magic. How did you? Stolas taught me some stuff he wasn't supposed to. Harry shrugged. For emergencies. A slow clapping sound from the doorway made them both freeze. Impressive indeed, came a silky voice. The demon prince has taught you well. A tall wizard stood there, unmasked unlike the others. His pale, aristocratic features were framed by long blonde hair, and his cold grey eyes assessed Harry with calculating interest. Lucius Malfoy, Harry whispered, recognizing the name and description from Remus's warnings about prominent Death Eaters who had avoided Azkaban. My reputation precedes me. Malfoy smiled thinly. And your power exceeds expectations, Mr. Potter. The boy who lived, raised by demons, wielding magic beyond his years. Fascinating. Moxie struggled to his feet, positioning himself in front of Harry. Back off, wizard. Malfoy's wand flicked almost casually. Moxie went rigid, paralyzed by a silent spell. Now then, Malfoy continued, we can dispense with the dramatics. I have a proposition for you, Mr. Potter. I'm not interested in anything Death Eaters have to offer, Harry spat, mind racing for an escape route. Death Eaters? Such an outdated term. Malfoy stepped further into the room. I prefer visionaries. We seek to bridge worlds, Mr. Potter. Your world, both your worlds, and something greater beyond. What are you talking about? Malfoy gestured around at the chaos. Did you think this attack was merely an attempt to kidnap you? No. It's a demonstration of what's now possible thanks to your unique situation. Harry's scar throbbed painfully. What situation? The connection, my boy. The link you share with the Dark Lord. Malfoy's voice lowered to an almost reverent tone. A connection that has been strengthened, not weakened, by your time in hell. The ambient magic here has been feeding it, nurturing it. And now, it's become a bridge. A chill ran down Harry's spine. A bridge to what? To resurrection. Malfoy's eyes gleamed. The Dark Lord's essence lives in you, Mr. Potter. And through you, he can return, stronger than ever, with the powers of hell at his command. Horrific understanding dawned on Harry. All these years, the nightmares, the headaches, the strange sensations in his scar, they weren't just echoes. They were something alive, growing stronger. That's why you breached hell, Harry realized. Not just to take me, but to use hell's magic through me. Precisely. Your intelligence does you credit. Malfoy extended his hand. Come with me willingly, and your demon friends will be spared. Resist, and we'll destroy everything you love before taking you anyway. Before Harry could respond, the wall behind Malfoy exploded inward. Through the dust and debris strode Blitzo, covered in blood, mostly not his own, guns blazing. Get the fuck away from my kid. Malfoy spun, raising a shield charm just in time to deflect the bullets. The demon father, I presume. Your reputation for interruptions is well deserved. And your reputation for being a pretentious asshole is spot on too. Blitzo didn't lower his guns. Harry, you okay? I'm fine. Moxie's paralyzed. Nothing new there. He freezes up at least once a week. Despite the danger, Harry couldn't help a small smile. Even in the worst situations, Blitzo remained. Blitzo. Malfoy observed their exchange with cold curiosity. Touching. The demon assassin and his adopted wizard son. What an unusual family portrait. You have no idea. Blitzo's grin turned feral. Speaking of family. The ceiling above Malfoy suddenly shattered as Luna crashed through it, landing directly behind the wizard with a bestial growl that would haunt lesser men's nightmares. Malfoy whirled, but not fast enough. Luna's claws raked across his wand arm, drawing blood and sending his wand clattering across the floor. The wizard staggered back, clutching his bleeding arm. That's my brother you're threatening, Luna snarled, advancing on the wounded wizard. A flash of fear crossed Malfoy's aristocratic features, quickly replaced by cold calculation. He reached into his robes with his uninjured hand, pulling out a small silver device. This isn't over, he hissed. The connection is established. He's coming, whether you cooperate or not. Before anyone could reach him, Malfoy twisted the device. A swirling portal opened behind him, different from regular portals, tinged with sickly green energy. We'll meet again, Mr. Potter. Soon. With those parting words, Malfoy stepped backward into the portal, which collapsed immediately after him. Silence fell over the wrecked laboratory, broken only by the distant sounds of fighting elsewhere in the building. Did he just fucking teleport? Blitzo demanded, kicking a broken beaker in frustration. Since when can wizards do that in hell? That wasn't regular magic, Harry said, helping Moxie who was finally regaining movement. He said something about a bridge being established, through me. Luna's fur bristled. What's that mean? Harry touched his scar, which still burned dully. I think Voldemort is using my connection to hell to power himself. To come back. Blitzo holstered one gun to place a hand on Harry's shoulder. Okay, that sounds bad, but we'll figure it out. First, let's regroup with the others and secure the building. As if on cue, Millie's voice came through on Blitzo's communicator. Boss. They're retreating. All the wizard freaks are pulling out. Probably because their fancy pants leader just bailed, Blitzo replied. Meet us in the central office. And bring Stolas if he's arrived. He's here all right, Millie confirmed. Showed up 5 minutes ago and started turning wizards inside out. It's been awesome. Blitzo clicked off the communicator, turning to Harry with uncharacteristic seriousness. Kid, whatever this moldy wart, Voldemort. Whatever. If he's trying to use you somehow, we're gonna stop him. That's a promise. Harry nodded, wishing he felt as confident as Blitzo sounded. The IMP headquarters had seen better days. Walls blasted open, floors cracked, furniture destroyed, the damage was extensive. But as the team gathered in what remained of the central office, the mood was grimly triumphant. They had repelled the attack, suffering injuries but no casualties among their own. Stolas paced the room, his usual composure replaced by barely contained fury. His 4 eyes glowed with power as he examined the magical residue left by the attackers. Dark magic, he confirmed. But corrupted somehow. Twisted with hell's energies in a way I've never seen. That's what Malfoy meant, Harry said from his perch on what remained of Blitzo's desk. He said the connection, my scar, was being strengthened by hell's magic. I feared this might happen. Stolas paused his pacing. The magical environment here is different from Earth. Your scar contains a connection to this Voldemort, and hell's ambient power has been feeding it like fertilizer to a seed. So it's our fault? Blitzo asked, cleaning blood from his horns. Bringing him here made this happen? Not exactly. Stolas knelt before Harry, examining his scar with magical sight. The connection existed regardless. Here, it merely developed, differently. Differently how? Moxie asked from where Millie was bandaging his wounds. On Earth, surrounded by natural magic, it might have remained dormant for years. Here, stimulated by hell's energies, it's become more active, a conduit rather than a scar. Harry shuddered. So Voldemort's been, what, siphoning hell's magic through me? In essence, yes. And now it seems his followers have found a way to use that connection to cross between realms without conventional portals. Luna growled. So how do we stop it? Cut off the connection. If only it were that simple. Stolas stood, his feathers rustling with agitation. This type of magic, a living connection between souls, is extraordinarily rare and dangerous. Severing it improperly could kill Harry. Blitzo's gun slammed onto the desk. Then that's not an option. Next idea. We need help, Moxie said. Magical help from the wizarding world. This Voldemort is their problem too. Dumbledore, Harry suggested. He's the one Voldemort always feared, according to Remus. I've already sent word, Stolas confirmed. Given the circumstances, I believe they'll respond quickly. And if they don't? Blitzo challenged. Then we handle it ourselves, Millie said cheerfully, twirling a bloody knife. We're pretty good at killing things. This isn't just things, Mills, Moxie cautioned. We're talking about a powerful dark wizard trying to resurrect himself through a connection to hell. Harry slid off the desk, suddenly feeling very small despite 2 years of growth. This is all because of me. Hey. Blitzo crouched in front of him. None of that shit. You didn't ask for any of this, not the scar, not the connection, none of it. This is on Voldy whatever and his fancy pants followers. But if I wasn't here, if you weren't here, my life would suck a whole lot more, Blitzo interrupted. So would Luna's, and Moxie's, and Millie's. Hell, even Bird Brain over there would be miserable without his favorite student. Stolas nodded in agreement. Your presence here has been a gift, dear boy. See? We're all better off with you, connection or no connection. Blitzo ruffled Harry's perpetually messy hair. And we'll figure this shit out together. Family, remember? The simple word, family, still had the power to warm Harry from the inside, even after 2 years. He nodded, managing a small smile. Their moment was interrupted by a blinding flash of light. A portal, different from Malfoy's, shimmering with silvery blue energy, opened in the center of the room. Weapons were immediately raised as figures emerged from the light. First came Albus Dumbledore, looking much as he had 2 years ago, though his eyes lacked their usual twinkle. Behind him followed a grim-faced Remus Lupin, a grizzled man with a magical eye that swiveled independently of its partner, and a tall black wizard with a gold earring. Harry, Dumbledore greeted solemnly. It seems our concerns were well-founded. You think? Blitzo didn't lower his gun. Your buddies in the masks just shot up our whole building trying to kidnap him. Not our buddies, growled the man with the magical eye. Death Eaters. Voldemort's followers. We received Prince Stolas's message, Dumbledore continued, and came as quickly as we could. The breach of the boundaries between hell and the living world represents a crisis beyond anything we anticipated. No shit, Luna muttered. Remus stepped forward, his face etched with concern. Harry, are you hurt? I'm okay. Harry moved toward his monthly visitor and unofficial wizarding godfather. But Malfoy said Voldemort is using my connection to hell to come back. The wizards exchanged alarmed glances. Lucius Malfoy was here personally, the black wizard asked. Yeah, tall guy, long blonde hair, talks like he's got a stick up his ass, Blitzo described. Luna scratched the shit out of him before he portaled away with some weird device. A device? The magical-eyed wizard stepped forward. Describe it. Small, silver, twisted it to activate the portal, Harry recalled. Sounds like a modified time-turner infused with dark magic, the man growled. Department of Mysteries reported several stolen last month. Alastair is correct, Dumbledore said gravely. It appears Voldemort's followers have found a way to merge wizard technology with Hell's energies, using Harry's unique connection as a bridge. So what's the plan? Blitzo demanded. Because if you're here to take Harry away, we're here to cooperate, Dumbledore interrupted, raising a placating hand. The threat Voldemort poses extends to both our worlds now. Neither of us can address it alone. The tension in the room shifted slightly. Stolas stepped forward, assuming his role as Hell's representative. What do you propose, Dumbledore? First, we must understand precisely how Voldemort is utilizing the connection. For that, we need to examine Harry's scar more thoroughly than either of us has attempted before. Harry touched his scar instinctively. Will it hurt? I'll ensure it doesn't, Stolas promised, placing a protective hand on Harry's shoulder. Dumbledore nodded in acknowledgement of the prince's claim. Then we must track the magical signature to determine how close Voldemort is to returning physically. Based on what you've described, I fear the process may already be underway. And if it is? Moxie asked. Then we prepare for battle, the magical-eyed wizard, Alastair, growled. On both sides of the veil. A fight? Millie perked up. Now you're speaking our language. Remus smiled faintly. I can see why you fit in here, Harry. Planning continued into the night. The IMP headquarters, damaged but still functional, became an unlikely war room where demons and wizards strategized together. Maps of both Hell and the wizarding world were spread across tables, magical sensors were established, and theories exchanged. Harry, despite protests that he wasn't tired, eventually dozed off on a couch in the corner. He woke briefly when Blitzo draped a blanket over him. "Go back to sleep, kid," his demon dad whispered. "We've got this." Harry wanted to argue, to insist he should be part of the planning, but exhaustion pulled him back under. His last conscious thought was gratitude that for once, the wizarding world and his demon family weren't fighting each other, but fighting together, for him. The next morning brought new developments and fresh tensions. Harry woke to find the office transformed into a proper command center, with magical instruments from both hell and the wizarding world monitoring various energies and signatures. Stolas and Dumbledore stood at the center, deeply engrossed in examining a three-dimensional magical model that appeared to represent Harry's connection to Voldemort. "The corruption has spread further than I feared," Dumbledore was saying as Harry approached. "The connection is no longer just a bridge, it's becoming a doorway. One that opens from his side, not ours," Stolas agreed. "Which gives us limited control over when and where he might emerge." "Good morning," Harry said, making both powerful beings turn. "Harry, my boy." Dumbledore's eyes held concern behind his half-moon spectacles. "How are you feeling?" "Fine. My scar itched a little in my sleep, but it's okay now." Stolas beckoned him closer. "We may need to examine it again today, with your permission. We've learned much, but there's more to understand." "Where's Dad?" Harry asked, looking around for Blitzo. "Securing the perimeter with Moxie and the Aurors," Stolas explained. "Luna and Millie are coordinating with our forces from the palace." "Aurors?" "Magical law enforcement," Dumbledore clarified. "Alastair Moody and Kingsley Shacklebolt are among our best." Before Harry could ask more questions, the door burst open. Blitzo rushed in, his expression grim. "We've got problems. Big ones. Magical sensors are going crazy all over hell. Portals opening in at least 6 locations." Dumbledore straightened. "They're making their move. Not just Death Eaters," Blitzo continued. "Demons too. Looks like Mammon's forces are working with them. Attacking Stolas's palace as we speak." "Via?" Harry asked immediately, concerned for his friend. "Holding her own last I heard. Girl's got her father's temper." Stolas's 4 eyes narrowed dangerously. "They dare attack my home? My daughter?" The air around him darkened as his power manifested. "This cannot stand." "It's a diversion," Moody growled, stomping in behind Blitzo. "They're trying to scatter our forces while they prepare the main event." "Which is what?" Harry asked. All eyes turned to him, and Harry suddenly understood. "Me. They need me for the final part." "Yes," Dumbledore confirmed solemnly. "Based on our analysis, Voldemort requires your physical presence, and likely some of your blood, to complete his resurrection ritual. So we keep Harry safe, we stop Moldy Shorts," Blitzo summarized. "Easy. If only it were," Stolas sighed. "The connection itself is becoming unstable. Even without direct access to Harry, Voldemort may be able to force his way through eventually, though at great cost to himself. And to Harry," Remus added grimly, entering with maps in hand. "The magical backlash could be devastating." Harry absorbed this in silence. All his life, or at least all the parts he could remember, had been shaped by this connection to Voldemort. First with his parents' murder, then the neglect at the Dursleys, and now even his happy life in hell was threatened. "So what do we do?" he finally asked. "We've been discussing that," Dumbledore said carefully. "And we believe there may be a way to use the connection against Voldemort himself." "A trap," Moody elaborated. "Let him think he's getting what he wants, then spring it shut on him. Using me as bait," Harry concluded, his voice steady despite the fear curling in his stomach. "Absolutely fucking not," Blitzo exploded. "No way we're dangling my kid in front of this psycho wizard." "There are risks," Dumbledore acknowledged. "But with proper preparation and protection, I said no." Blitzo drew his gun, pointing it at Dumbledore. "Find another way." The tension in the room skyrocketed. Moody's wand appeared in his hand, while Remus stepped forward with hands raised placatingly. "Blitzo, please," he urged. "No one wants to put Harry in danger. We're exploring all options." "Then explore harder," Blitzo snapped, though he lowered his gun slightly. Harry moved to his dad's side, placing a hand on his arm. "Let's hear them out at least." Blitzo looked down at him, conflict evident in his expression. "Kid, you don't have to do this. We can find another way." "But what if there isn't one?" Harry asked quietly. "What if this keeps happening, attacks and portals and Death Eaters, until he finally gets through? Everyone would be in danger, you, Luna, Moxie, Millie, all of hell and the wizarding world too." Something shifted in Blitzo's expression, pride mingled with fear. "When did you get so grown up, huh?" "I had good teachers." Harry smiled weakly. "You guys taught me family protects each other. All of each other." Blitzo holstered his gun with a sigh of defeat. "Fine. We'll listen. But I'm not agreeing to anything that puts you at serious risk." The planning resumed with renewed urgency as reports continued to flow in about attacks across hell. The alliance between Death Eaters and certain demon factions was causing unprecedented chaos. The trap they eventually designed was complex but elegant. Harry would appear vulnerable, apparently separated from his protectors during the chaos. Death Eaters would be allowed to capture him and begin the ritual that would bring Voldemort through the connection. But before the ritual could complete, combined forces of demons and wizards would strike, using artifacts from both realms to sever the connection permanently and destroy Voldemort's spirit form. "The timing must be perfect," Stolas emphasized. "Too soon, and Voldemort won't be vulnerable. Too late, and he'll have fully materialized." "And the severing spell?" Remus asked, concern evident. "What about the risks to Harry?" Dumbledore and Stolas exchanged glances. "We've modified the ritual," Stolas explained. "By combining wizard magic with Hell's energies, we can target only the foreign presence without harming Harry's own magical core." "Theoretically," Moody growled. "It will work," Stolas insisted. "Harry's unique dual-nature magic, human-wizard abilities enhanced by Hell's environment, gives us an advantage Voldemort doesn't understand." Harry listened to the technical details with growing determination. For the first time, the thing that had marked him as different, his scar, his connection to a dark wizard, his unusual magical development in Hell, might actually be the key to ending the threat forever. "When do we do this?" he asked. "Tonight," Dumbledore answered gravely. "Our intelligence suggests Voldemort's forces are gathering for a major ritual at midnight. We have little time to prepare." Blitzo crouched in front of Harry, hands on his shoulders. "You sure about this, kid? Last chance to back out. We could still grab Luna and the others and hide out in the deepest parts of Hell where no one could find us." The offer was tempting, to run away with his demon family, to avoid the responsibility and danger. 2 years ago, Harry might have been tempted. But not now. "I'm sure," he said firmly. "Let's end this." Pride shone in Blitzo's eyes. "That's my boy." The preparations were intense and meticulous. Harry received crash courses in protective spells from both Dumbledore and Stolas. Tracking charms were discreetly placed on him, and emergency port keys hidden in his clothing. Meanwhile, Blitzo, Moxie, and Millie coordinated with the Aurors on battle tactics, while Luna led a team to secure escape routes. As night fell over Hell, Harry found himself alone with Remus in a quiet corner of the building. "Your parents would be so proud of you," the werewolf said softly, adjusting Harry's enchanted jacket. "So brave." "I'm scared," Harry admitted. "That's what makes you brave. Courage isn't about not feeling fear, it's about doing what's right despite being afraid." Remus hesitated, then pulled something from his pocket. "I brought this for you. It was your father's." He handed Harry a small pocket knife with a stag engraved on the handle. "James carried it everywhere. Said it brought him luck. Harry clutched it tightly. Thank you. Just come back safely so you can hear more stories about him and your mother, Remus said, his voice rough with emotion. Their moment was interrupted by Blitzo, who entered with an unusually serious expression. It's time, kid. Everyone's in position. Harry nodded, pocketing the knife. I'm ready. No, you're not, Blitzo said bluntly. Nobody's ever ready for this kind of shit. But you're doing it anyway, which makes you the bravest damn kid in hell or earth. He pulled Harry into a fierce hug. You listen to me. No matter what happens tonight, you're my kid. Got that? Nothing changes that. Not Voldemort, not wizard bullshit, nothing. I know, Dad. Harry hugged him back just as tightly. And when this is over, we're taking a vacation. Somewhere with beaches and drinks with little umbrellas. Hell doesn't have beaches. Then we'll make one. With lava instead of water. It'll be great. Harry laughed despite his fear, grateful for Blitzo's ability to lighten even the darkest moments. Let's go stop a dark wizard, he said, straightening his shoulders. That's my Hellraiser. Blitzo ruffled his hair one last time. The plan unfolded with clockwork precision, at first. Harry, appearing to flee the chaos of battle, allowed himself to be discovered by Death Eaters in an apparently unprotected moment. His capture was swift, his struggles convincingly desperate but ultimately futile. They took him, as intelligence had suggested they would, to an ancient amphitheater deep in Hell's volcanic region. The structure, older than most of Hell's current architecture, stood in the center of a lava lake, accessible only by a narrow stone bridge. Harry, bound but alert, was dragged to the center of the amphitheater where a ritual circle had been prepared. Lucius Malfoy, his injured arm now bandaged, presided over the proceedings with cold determination. The boy who lived, he addressed Harry as cultists arranged ritual components around a central cauldron. Such an honor to have you witness history's greatest resurrection. Voldemort's still dead then? Harry retorted, channeling Blitzo's defiant attitude. Sounds more like history's greatest failure to me. Malfoy's smile didn't reach his eyes. Such spirit. The Dark Lord will enjoy breaking it. He gestured to the ritual circle. Do you know what's happening here, boy? The magic we're working. Harry affected ignorance, though in truth, Dumbledore and Stolas had explained everything in detail. You're trying to bring back Voldemort. It won't work. Oh, but it will. Because of you. Malfoy leaned closer. Your blood, Potter. The blood that carries your mother's sacrifice, the blood that now carries Hell's power after your years here. Combined with the connection in your scar, it creates the perfect conduit. Around them, masked Death Eaters completed their preparations. The air thickened with magical energy, making Harry's skin prickle. Above, the crimson sky of Hell darkened further, clouds swirling unnaturally. Harry scanned the amphitheater discreetly, noting the positions of the Death Eaters. According to the plan, Blitzo, Moxie, and Millie would be concealed among the stone seating, while wizards and other demons would be surrounding the perimeter. Stolas and Dumbledore would be monitoring from a distance, ready to activate the counter-ritual at the precise moment. It's time, Malfoy announced, drawing a silver dagger. Bring the boy. 2 Death Eaters hauled Harry to the cauldron, which bubbled with a potion that smelled of death and sulfur. Malfoy approached with the dagger, satisfaction evident in his aristocratic features. Blood of the enemy, forcibly taken, he intoned, pressing the blade to Harry's arm, you will resurrect your foe. The cut stung, and Harry winced as blood dripped into the cauldron. The potion turned a blinding white, illuminating the amphitheater with unnatural light. Malfoy continued the ritual, adding other components while chanting in Latin. The ground beneath them trembled. Harry's scar began to burn with increasing intensity, and he didn't have to fake his gasp of pain. Something was wrong. The pain was greater than anticipated, the magical energy building faster than their plans had accounted for. Harry tried to catch sight of any of his family or allies, but saw only Death Eaters' masks gleaming in the cauldron's light. "He comes!" Malfoy cried as the cauldron's contents began to rise in a column of vapor and light. Harry's scar felt like it was splitting open. The connection that had been dormant for so long now burned like a live wire, sending visions flashing through his mind, a red-eyed face, snake-like and terrible, forming in the mist. Where was the signal? Where was the counter-ritual that Dumbledore and Stolas had promised? The mist from the cauldron began to take human shape. Thin, tall, with long fingers and that terrible face, Voldemort was materializing before his eyes. "Harry Potter," came a high, cold voice from the half-formed figure. "We meet again, at last." Harry struggled against his captors, real panic now overtaking him. "Now," he screamed, abandoning pretense. "Do it now." Nothing happened. Voldemort's laugh chilled the already cold air of hell. "Your allies cannot help you, Potter. My servants intercepted their little trap. Your demon family is occupied elsewhere." Horror washed over Harry. Had something gone wrong? Were Blitzo and the others captured? Hurt? Worse? The dark figure solidified further, pale skin forming over the mist, red eyes burning with malevolent triumph. "Your blood has served me well, boy. Enhanced by hell's energies, it has made me stronger than I ever was in life." Harry's mind raced. If help wasn't coming, he would have to act alone. Stolas had warned him against attempting magic while the connection was active, but what choice did he have? As Voldemort continued to materialize, Harry closed his eyes, focusing inward. He could feel the connection burning between them, but connections worked both ways. If Voldemort could draw power through it, maybe Harry could push something back. "Your parents died begging for mercy," Voldemort taunted as his body became more solid. "Will you beg too, Harry Potter?" Harry opened his eyes, a new determination hardening his features. "My parents fought you. My demon family taught me to fight too." He reached deep into his magical core, drawing on every lesson Stolas had taught him, every bit of hell's energy he had absorbed over 2 years. He visualized the connection between himself and Voldemort not as the Dark Wizard's pathway to resurrection, but as Harry's weapon against him. "What are you doing?" Voldemort hissed, suddenly alert to Harry's magical gathering. "Something you wouldn't understand," Harry replied, thinking of Blitzo's fierce protection, Luna's reluctant affection, Moxie's patient teaching, Millie's cheerful encouragement, Stolas's wise guidance. "Family magic." He shoved his gathered power directly into the connection. Not to sever it, that would require the complex ritual Stolas and Dumbledore had designed, but to flood it, overload it with the unique blend of wizard magic and hell's energy that only Harry possessed. Voldemort screamed as the feedback hit him. His partially formed body began to waver, the mist destabilizing. "Stop him," he commanded his Death Eaters. Malfoy raised his wand, but before he could cast, a gunshot rang out. The wand exploded in his hand, sending splinters flying. "Surprise, motherfuckers!" Blitzo's voice echoed through the amphitheater as he, Moxie, and Millie revealed themselves, weapons blazing. At the same moment, the air around the amphitheater shimmered as concealment charms fell away, revealing wizards and demons positioned strategically around the perimeter. Dumbledore and Stolas stood at the highest point, already beginning the counter-ritual. Chaos erupted as Death Eaters engaged the attackers. Spells and bullets flew across the ancient stone structure. Harry, still focusing on overloading the connection, was dragged back from the cauldron by his captors. "Kill the boy," Voldemort ordered, his form fluctuating more violently as Harry's magic continued to disrupt the resurrection. The Death Eater holding Harry raised his wand, but a blur of grey fur slammed into him with bone-crushing force. Luna, eyes blazing with protective fury, tore into the wizard with feral abandon. "Nobody touches my brother," she snarled, echoing her declaration from years ago. Free from restraint, Harry staggered toward the cauldron. The counter-ritual needed direct access to the connection point, the place where Voldemort was attempting to cross over. Above, Stolas and Dumbledore continued their incantation, their combined magical might creating a swirling vortex above the amphitheater. But they needed Harry in position to complete it. Harry! The cauldron! Remus shouted, dueling two Death Eaters nearby. You need to touch it. Harry fought through the chaos toward the bubbling vessel. Voldemort, now aware of the true plan, struggled to complete his manifestation before the counter-ritual could take effect. I will not be denied, the Dark Wizard's voice boomed. Not by a child. A magical blast knocked Harry off his feet, sending him sliding across the stone. He looked up to see Voldemort, still partially mist but gaining solidity, looming over him. So like your parents, Voldemort hissed. They too thought they could defy me. They too failed. They protected me, Harry countered, climbing back to his feet. Just like my family protects me now. Family? These demons? Voldemort laughed coldly. They are using you, Potter. For your magic, your connection to the wizarding world. You are a tool to them, nothing more. You're wrong. Harry stood tall despite his fear. They love me. Something you'll never understand. Voldemort raised a half-formed hand, dark magic gathering. Love will not save you now. A shot rang out, passing harmlessly through Voldemort's still materializing form. Blitzo stood several yards away, gun raised, expression murderous. Get away from my kid, you snake-faced fuck. Voldemort turned, amused. The demon father. How touching. His momentary distraction was all Harry needed. He lunged for the cauldron, plunging his hands into the potion while focusing all his magic on the connection in his scar. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Energy exploded outward as the counter-ritual activated, channeling through Harry directly into the magical bridge Voldemort was using to cross over. The Dark Wizard's scream echoed across hell as his partially formed body began to unravel. Now! Stolas commanded from above, his voice carrying unnatural power. Dumbledore and the other wizards cast in unison, their spells merging with the demonic energy Stolas and his allies were channeling. The vortex above tightened, focusing on the connection point. Harry felt the magic burning through him, using him as its conduit. The pain was excruciating, but he held on, thinking of his family, both demon and human. I'll return. Voldemort raged as his form disintegrated. I will always return. Not this time, asshole, Harry gasped, pushing the last of his strength into the connection. With a sound like reality tearing, the vortex collapsed inward. The cauldron shattered, and a shock wave of pure magical force blasted outward. Harry was thrown backward, consciousness fading as the world went white around him. His last thought before darkness took him was simple gratitude that, whatever happened next, he had known what it was to be loved. Harry woke to arguing voices and the familiar antiseptic smell of the IMP infirmary. His whole body ached, and his scar throbbed dully, but differently than before, more like a healing wound than an active connection. Absolutely out of the question, came Blitzo's heated voice. Kid stays with us, end of story. The magical backlash has changed things, Dumbledore's calmer tone replied. Harry's connection to the wizarding world is stronger now, his magic more aligned with his human heritage. So what? He's still my son. No one is disputing that, Blitzo, Remus interjected, always the peacemaker. But Harry's education and safety must be considered in light of these developments. Harry opened his eyes slowly, blinking against the harsh light. He was in a bed in the IMP medical ward, surrounded by monitoring equipment both magical and mundane. Around his bed stood a crowd, Blitzo, looking disheveled but unharmed, Dumbledore, his robes singed but expression serene, Remus, sporting a bandaged arm, and Stolas, his feathers somewhat ruffled but his dignity intact. Hey, Harry croaked, his throat dry. Did we win? All heads turned to him, the argument instantly forgotten. Harry. Blitzo was at his side in an instant, relief evident in every line of his face. "You scared the shit out of me, kid." "Language," Moxie muttered automatically from where he sat in a chair nearby, his leg in a cast. "How do you feel, my boy?" Dumbledore asked, stepping closer. "Like I got run over by a bus," Harry admitted. "But my scar, it feels different." "The connection has been severed," Stolas confirmed. "Completely and permanently. Voldemort's spirit was not just banished but destroyed, at least the portion that was attached to you." "So he's gone. Really gone?" "The fragment within your scar, yes," Dumbledore nodded. "Whether other pieces exist elsewhere remains to be seen, but the immediate threat has been neutralized." Harry processed this, relief washing through him. "And everyone else? Luna? Millie?" "All fine," Blitzo assured him. "Luna's getting patched up, apparently hellhounds and cutting curses don't mix well, but she'll be her grumpy self in no time. Millie's helping coordinate cleanup. The Death Eaters? Most captured or killed," Remus reported. "Malfoy escaped in the chaos, unfortunately." "What happens now?" Harry asked, sensing the tension that had been interrupted by his awakening. The adults exchanged glances, the earlier argument clearly unresolved. "That's what we were discussing," Dumbledore said carefully. "The magical event you experienced has had some unexpected consequences." "What consequences?" Stolas stepped forward. "The severing of the connection altered your magical signature, Harry. Your powers, which had been adapting to Hell's environment, have realigned significantly with your human wizard heritage. In simple terms," Blitzo translated, "your magic's gone more wizard-y and less hellish." "Oh." Harry frowned. "Is that bad?" "Not bad," Dumbledore assured him. "But it does suggest that your magical development might be better served in the wizarding world earlier than we had planned." Understanding dawned on Harry. "You want me to leave Hell?" "Now, not when I'm 11. "That was my suggestion," Dumbledore admitted. "Though your father has strong opinions on the matter." "Damn right I do," Blitzo growled. "You're not taking my kid just because his magic changed flavors." Harry looked between them, the two worlds that had become equally part of his life, Hell with his demon family, and the wizarding world that was his birthright. For 2 years, he'd balanced between them, with Remus's monthly visits connecting him to his parents' legacy while Stolas taught him to harness his abilities in Hell's unique environment. Now it seemed he had to choose. "What about what I want?" he asked quietly. All eyes turned to him. "Of course your wishes are paramount," Dumbledore assured him. "Damn straight they are," Blitzo agreed, for once aligning with the wizard. Harry sat up straighter, wincing slightly at his sore muscles. "I want both." "Both?" Remus echoed. "Yes. I want to learn about the wizarding world, about my parents, about magic as humans practice it." Harry's voice grew stronger as he continued. "But Hell is my home. IMP is my family. I'm not giving that up." "The magical realignment makes spending extended periods in the living world more viable now," Stolas noted thoughtfully. "Perhaps an arrangement could be made." "What kind of arrangement?" Blitzo asked suspiciously. "Shared custody, in essence," Dumbledore suggested, stroking his beard. Harry could spend time in both worlds, perhaps alternating weeks or months, with proper magical transport established for safe passage. "I'd need to come back to Hell regularly," Harry insisted. "For family dinner nights and Luna's birthdays and Moxie's boring lectures about compound interest." "Hey!" Moxie protested weakly from his chair. "And for mission prep meetings," Harry continued. "Dad promised I could start helping plan assassinations when I turn 8. Dumbledore's eyebrows rose, but he wisely chose not to comment on IMP's parenting choices. "I believe we could accommodate such requirements. Perhaps Remus could serve as Harry's guardian during his time in the wizarding world." "I'd be honored," Remus said immediately, his eyes bright with emotion. And I could continue his hell-specific magical education during his returns, Stolas offered. The variety of instruction would give him a uniquely broad magical foundation. Blitzo had been uncharacteristically quiet, watching Harry closely. You really want this, kid? Splitting your time between here and up there? Harry nodded. I want to know both parts of who I am. The boy who lived and the Hellraiser. Is that okay? A complex mix of emotions crossed Blitzo's face, pride, worry, a touch of sadness, but ultimately acceptance. If that's what you want, then that's what we'll make happen. He shot Dumbledore a warning look. But first sign that he's unhappy up there, and I'm bringing him back permanently, agreements be damned. I would expect nothing less from a devoted father, Dumbledore acknowledged with a slight smile. The details were negotiated over the following days as Harry recovered. A magical communication system was established, allowing Harry to contact either world at any time. Portals would be created for regular transit, with both Stolas and Dumbledore monitoring to ensure safety. Harry would spend alternating months in each realm, with exceptions for special occasions. For his final night before his first extended stay in the wizarding world, IMP threw a combination, congrats on killing Voldemort, and see you soon party that quickly became the stuff of legend in Hell's social circles. The usually grim headquarters was transformed with decorations, many of which were mildly inappropriate, music blasted from speakers, and demons from across Hell who had fought alongside them mingled with the handful of wizards brave enough to attend. Harry, still slightly weak but recovering quickly, found himself the center of attention, a position that 2 years with Blitzo had taught him to handle with surprising grace. So you're really leaving tomorrow, huh? Octavia asked, sipping a glowing blue drink as they watched Blitzo challenge Moody to what appeared to be a very dangerous drinking contest. Just for a month, Harry clarified. Then I'm back for hellish Christmas. Hell doesn't have Christmas. We do now. Dad's already ordered a tree made of bones. Octavia snorted. You've completely corrupted them, you know. Before you came along, they were just normal demon assassins. Now they're domestic. Is that bad? Nah. It's actually kind of nice. She glanced at where her father was animatedly discussing magical theory with Dumbledore. Dad's happier too. Less uptight. I'm going to miss everyone, Harry admitted. Even though I'll be back soon. They'll miss you too, Octavia assured him. Dad's already planning lessons for when you return, and Blitzo's been making Moxie print out like 50 photos of you to put on his desk. This made Harry smile. The idea of being missed, of people caring when he wasn't around, still felt like a miracle after his early childhood with the Dursleys. Across the room, Luna was demonstrating her claws to an impressed Kingsley Shacklebolt, while Millie taught some of the younger Aurors a hellish drinking song. Moxie, leg still in a cast, was deep in conversation with Remus about wizarding economics. It was strange and wonderful, his two worlds colliding not in conflict, but in celebration. Later, as the party wound down, Harry found himself on the rooftop with Blitzo. They sat side by side, legs dangling over the edge, watching the chaotic beauty of Hell's landscape spread before them. Crazy 2 years, huh kid? Blitzo mused, his voice slightly slurred from the celebration. The best 2 years, Harry corrected. Thanks to you. Me? I didn't do shit. Just kidnapped you and tried not to mess up too badly after. You gave me a home, Harry said simply. A family. Blitzo was quiet for a moment, uncharacteristically reflective. You know, I took you on impulse that night. Just saw a kid in a bad situation and reacted. Didn't think about consequences or responsibilities or any of that shit. That sounds like you. Hey, watch it, Blitzo nudged him playfully. Point is, best impulsive decision I ever made. He looked at Harry directly. You're a good kid. The best. Even if you are going all wizard Y on me now. I'm coming back, Harry insisted. I know. But things change, people grow up. You might find you like it better up there with all the fancy wand wavers. Never, Harry said firmly. The wizarding world might be where I'm from, but hell is home. Blitzo smiled, draping an arm around Harry's shoulders. Well, whatever happens, you've always got a place here. Your room, your spot at the table, your file in the weapons cabinet, they'll be waiting. Even the missile launcher you promised for my 10th birthday. Especially that. Though Moxie's still lobbying for a starter pistol instead. They laughed together, comfortable in the moment. Below them, the party continued, demons and wizards finding common ground in celebration of their shared victory. Tomorrow's gonna be weird, Harry said after a while. Yeah, but you'll handle it. You're tough. Got that from me. I'm not even biologically yours. Details. Blitzo waved dismissively. You got my charm, my good looks, my natural talent for causing chaos. That's as good as DNA in my book. Harry leaned against his demon dad's side. I'm really glad you kidnapped me. Me too, kid. Best job I never completed. As hell's eternal fires burned around them and the sounds of celebration drifted from below, Harry Potter, the boy who lived, adopted son of a demon, bridge between worlds, felt truly at peace for perhaps the first time in his life. The scar that had defined him for so long was now just a mark, its terrible connection severed. The future stretched before him, full of possibilities in two worlds that had each given him something essential, one his heritage, the other his home. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with the confidence of someone who knew exactly who he was, Harry Potter, wizard, Hellraiser, and most importantly, loved. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.